Donned in ISIS black, he confidently carries a long sniper rifle, a bandolier of ammunition. He picks off a tomato to show his skill. This is an ISIS video, and CNN has just learned this man trained on American soil. The fighter says he's Gulmurad Khalimov, a former commander in a special police counter-terror unit in Tajikistan, a key U.S. ally.
From 2003 to 2008, I received specialized training in America on the military base of Blackwater.
Blackwater, a controversial U.S. contracting company which sent private security personnel to Iraq and trained other countries' fighters at this compound in North Carolina. Contacted by CNN, Academy, the company that purchased Blackwater's training facility, was unable to confirm that Khalimov was there. The State Department tells CNN Khalimov participated in 5 counterterrorism courses in the U.S. and Tajikistan between 2003 and last year. We spoke with former Army sniper Paul Shari about what he might have learned. What skills that he would have learned do you think might hurt Allied forces on the battlefield?
So the types of training that he's likely to have received would have been basic tactics and maneuvers, the ability to, say, move through a building, move through an urban area in a tactical way, maybe basic marksmanship.
Shari says U.S. contractors wouldn't have trained Khalimov to be a killing machine like Rambo. But if Khalimov was a top commander in Tajikistan's counter-terror forces, there's another worry.
The real problem is he knows how to plan counterterrorism operations. So he knows how the people who protect a high-value target will be thinking. He knows how the people who protect an embassy will be thinking. And so that puts him in a position to, as we would say in the military, to red team that, to think very intelligently out of it, how to disrupt those plans. That's a dangerous capability.
Another ominous signal, Khalimov's threat against what he called American pigs.
Inshallah. God willing, we will come to your cities, to your homes, and we will kill you.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States of the FM network. This is a very important broadcasting. All these shows that I'm producing, could be shows that you could also listen, like, let's say in 100 years from now. And still there are information, and my goal is not here to try to, I don't know, entertain you or do some sort of a fillers. I really would like to give you information for your brain, and I hope this information can lead you to the truth. That's the bottom line. Why? Because the first weapon we have to take back our freedoms, our rights, it's knowledge. And when we understand that we've been frauded, we've been lied to, and only then we can analyze and resolve problems, or at least start to address the causes of all this mess that we're living in, this new tyranny. Now, today's goal, today's first hour, normally it's about rights and freedoms. And yes, and I would like to address 2 different things. They're all connected. First of all, this invasion of masses, of millions of desperate people, some of them, and some they're not that desperate, but they are part of a bigger plan, and we already talked about in the past, the Kalergi plan, of people from countries like Middle Eastern countries or just the north part of Africa invading Europe, and soon also these United States. We know we already have more than 100,000 refugees from Syria that the Obama administration want to allow to have here without any real screening. But the point is, why this is happening? I mean, we understand that this is a danger, period. You know, look in Europe what's happening. And I will have a great guy from Germany in this next few segments that you will listen to him exactly what's going on in Germany, what they're facing, even as freedom. They cannot even criticize anymore this invasion. You can lose your job. You can lose your kids. You know, that's the bottom line. But important now, they can lose their lives. They're defenseless and they're losing their identity. But I'd like to find out why and how that happened. Why these people, they are living by thousands or by millions, Syria, for example, it is not just Syria, of course, to go somewhere else. Who created ISIS? That's the real goal. Who created the causes of this crisis? Problem, reaction, solution. I have with me a special guest, a guy that is much better than me. First of all, his accent rocks. It's not like mine. And number 2, you know, he's very articulate, and he's a journalist. He writes for an incredible internet outlet, 21stcenturywire.com, and also he has his own radio show, and he will tell you more about him and what he does. His name is Patrick Henningsen. Patrick, how you there?
Hey, Luca, how you doing? Nice to be with you.
Thank you, my friend. You know, I really want your help. You know, my goal here is to try to give the information for people that they're still asleep or, you know, as I said, not aware of. We can help them out. Especially when I hear, you know, these good old boys guys, oh, let's go there, let's kill them all. These guys, I'll take care of them. ISIS is being created by the U.S. government. It's being funded. I mean, we could go and destroy, we can go to Mars. You tell me now we cannot stop a bunch of Bedouins on pickup trucks, by the way, U.S. trucks, by the way. You are the expert here, at least the person who can articulate much better than me. I would like to bring a very good logic, factual things to show that ISIS, like Al-Qaeda, there's nothing new, was created and funded through the years by different administrations. Right now, ISIS is being part of this plan of destabilize and, let's say, destroy Syria's sovereignty. And Assad may be a noise saint, but guess what? They're all scumbags anywhere, and it's still, we have no right, in my opinion, to go in somebody else's country and tell them you cannot rule. That's their business. What do you think about that, Patrick? I want your opinion about all this.
Yeah, first of all, they're Japanese pickup trucks, not American. The Toyota is the favorite pickup truck of the jihadist.
You're right. You're very right. There's Toyota, but probably they're sold by some dealers here in America. But go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, there's probably some American trucks in there too. But anyway, you're absolutely right, Luca. It's good to have this conversation. I mean, this is a very multi-layered, complex conversation. We could go into deep detail looking into any of the crevices of any of the stories along the timeline here to piece this together. You could do whole shows on just Operation Cyclone in Afghanistan, 1979, 1980, 81, 82, where by the United States intelligence apparatus, the NSA, the CIA, and also the Pakistani ISI, and the British intelligence as well, to put together an Islamic fighting force. And again, we're talking about history. Most people understand Afghanistan. We'll have to go back there because this is really the seed, one of the main seeds of ISIS. And if you have to understand this part of the story and to build on top of it. Now, a lot of people believe, they still believe, most Americans who watched Charlie Wilson's War with Tom Hanks, and they believe that they watched the news during the 80s, they believe they understood that the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and the United States armed and funded freedom fighters who were Islamic Mujahideen fighters to kick out the evil Russians, Soviets at the time. That's only half the story. The story that doesn't get a lot of play is the story which, if you read any of Zbigniew Brzezinski's books, he was intimately involved in Operation Cyclone, in forming and training and funding and deploying the Mujahideen at that time. And he will tell you that it was a strategy of the United States to arm and to back these fighters to attack Soviet forces over the Afghan border, to bait the Soviet Union to come into Afghanistan. Now, that's a big part of the story that's left out when the U.S. is retelling it.
Let's say again the name, because people sometimes they don't understand. This guy used to work as a State Department, I guess, or at least for the Carter administration, correct?
Yeah. He was the chief foreign policy advisor of many presidents, but most notably Jimmy Carter at that time. So, and again, this isn't a partisan issue. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. Brzezinski is influential in foreign policy circles across all parties. He's a heavyweight. He wrote The Grand Chessboard. He wrote Between Two Worlds. He is the de facto father of the concept of the technocracy, which a lot of people are talking about now, which is the sort of administrative backbone of the New World Order. Okay, in a conceptual form. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Kissinger, the same level or type of these, let's say, upper management of the New World Order. Like a Kissinger somehow.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, very intelligent. He himself, to understand as well, Brzezinski is Polish. He was very much influenced by the Second World War. Very anti-Soviet. Mostly because of what he and his family would have experienced in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War, and the sort of Stalin's forces overrunning and keeping Eastern Europe as a kind of satellite empire to the new Soviet Union.
Now, specifically, I call it Al-Qaeda, and it's not fun. It's true. I mean, it's been proven that we've been paying with gold during, even during this foreign Afghan war. The point is, it's now the Al-Qaeda it's our ally, or at least, it's part of we are with us, that we are fighting ISIS. At the same time, we have proved that even people from let's say, the other party, it doesn't make any difference. Senator McCain, just a few years ago, was there talking and bringing probably bags full of money to these freedom fighters, as used to call them. Then now that we realize that we're all with ISIS. Now we are coming 2014, 2013. This administration is following the directives of the globalists to destabilize and remove out of this country Assad, because they have their reason. Maybe you can give me what you think. Why they want to remove Assad, this administration? What is done so bad that now he needs to go? When Senator Kerry, just a few years ago, before all this new type of change of tune, used to have dinner with his wife and Assad's wife and Assad himself. What's going on now? Why do you want him out?
There is not one single reason for this, but there's a collection of reasons. And also, when you analyze and you're looking at these multi-layered, multifaceted situations, these are complex systems. This is the grand chessboard. This is also three-dimensional chess. This is not checkers. So there's 3 or 4 different main thrusts, and behind those you have different parties of interest. And managing this is what the global masterminds believe that they're very good at when they come together in the committees in Bilderberg, or in the Committee of 300, or the Trilateral Commission, or the CFR, or wherever those confabs are, the United Nations, the G20. They believe, the top management class believes, that they can manage chaos.
Yeah.
Okay. So with regards to Syria, the main reasons are as follows. Now, it's the right wing in America have got it completely wrong, as usual, as well as the left. They all say that, Assad's a brutal dictator and therefore he has to go. And they saying, Christians are being persecuted because of Bashar al-Assad's failure to deal with ISIS. Well, that defies and goes against logic.
Yeah.
Because ISIS is an external force which was funded and backed by a combination of the following: United States, Saudi Arabia, the GCC countries, particularly Saudi and Qatar being the leaders there. And also Israel has a hand in the insurgency as well. Israel has an interest in seeing the Assad regime go. You just have to read some of the research papers from the Henry Jackson Society and some of these think tanks to see that they want to eliminate the Syrian Air Force, because Israel sees that as its number one rival for total hegemony in the region. The United States wants to remove, the globalists want to remove Assad because it's a secular nation state. They do not like dealing with real democracies or potential democracies, or secular countries. They like monarchies. They like radical regimes, because they can then paint them as true enemies ideologically and militarily even. Hezbollah is also allied with the Syrian government, who has an Alawite Shiite characteristic to it. Hezbollah is Shiite, Iran is Shiite, Iraq is majority Shiite. The West wants to break the Shiite arc because they see that as a problem in terms of getting their wicked way in the region for time immemorial. So they would like to constantly break this. This gives an opportunity for more warfare. The defense industry then benefits, sells lots of arms and bombs to Saudi Arabia and this great coalition that they've formed, which is really just an outlet for sales of ammunition and arms. That's all it is.
Sorry if I interrupt you 1 second, Ollie. The American now government, or this administration, thinks that Saddam is such a criminal, okay? Look at the Saudi. We're talking about human rights violation and things like that. This is insane. We should go to war with everybody almost. Honestly, with ourselves, because now we have no more human rights and civil rights in America with the National Defense Authorization Act, indefinite detention. So it's an hypocrisy. But regardless, you know that Assad also, by the way, in 2012, he banned GMOs in food to preserve the health of human beings. Just to give you a little bit of something, this guy is banning GMO. The people may say, what has to do now with war? Maybe just another little reason why they want him out. This guy doesn't want to have a private central bank under the control of the IMF. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. So banking, financial, that's another big factor here. These are state-owned central bank, issues its own currency, very similar to Libya, who did the same thing, tend to have low inflation, tend to have low inflation means that, a university professor who makes $500 a month can live quite fine on that, Now you take $500 a month and you go to Western Europe, that will get you maybe a couple of cups of coffee during the month, right?
Exactly.
So it's a totally different economic paradigm that countries like Iran, Syria, Iraq potentially are living under. If you're out of the system, although Iraq is into the private central banking orbit now, but Venezuela and some of these countries that happen to be, many of them also left-wing oriented, specifically you're talking about South American countries, very left-wing oriented, big labor unions, but state-owned central banks. Iran, it's very easy to paint Iran as the big boogeyman of the region, but the fact of the matter is, the reason Iran has been painted in this way, Iran has been manipulated from the minute it had a chance to have a democratic government in the 1950s. It's been overthrown, manipulated by the British and the Americans to play it like a kind of a Hegelian dialectic. And Saudi Arabia and the GCC countries have a sort of unspoken deal with the West that they will not allow Iran to enter the economic game or the market, because that would mean that the GCC countries would no longer have complete domination. Because with economic success comes political influence. And again, it's the Shiite versus Sunni dialectic, and the West is very good at playing that. Israel has become also good at this as well. There's a lot of manipulation going on between the West and its allies. They don't want to have. Tyrants hate competition. Yeah. And monarchies hate open markets. They hate competition. Look at Saudi Arabia. What is it? It's a petrol monarchy. There's no, like you said, no one has much in terms of human rights there. You don't hear anybody screaming about that on CNN, because guess what? And you don't hear that on Washington Capitol Hill, because that lobbyist money from Saudi Arabia is going into the pockets of many of our senators, our congressmen. And that money is being invested in banks in New York and Citibank and some big investment banks. So people are going to keep very shut-lipped about it.
Anyway.
But they'll make big noises about Assad being a butcher and so forth. And so this is what we get as Americans. It's very hard to navigate through the propaganda that's coming through our propaganda pipeline.
Exactly. And this is my point, guys. First of all, what would you do if tomorrow, let's say, Russia or China would start to come to Mexico and say, by the way, here we tell you that you, President of Mexico, you must go. Okay? I mean, next door to us. Seriously, what business do we have to go just cross around the world to remove somebody that has been there? And by the way, it may be not perfect, but guess what? People, they're better off with Assad, like probably they were better off with Saddam, that by the way we put in power, than now, okay, after this crisis that is being orchestrated. Like, for example, think about all these bombings and towns destroyed and how many civilians died and the economy destroyed. I mean, this is so sad. We should take care of ourselves, mind our business, and stop going around, especially dropping bombs like there is no tomorrow. And this is coming from Obama, a guy who used to criticize Bush for all these legal wars. But now my point is, back to the quest. How? We know why. How we can prove that ISIS was funded with some evidence. I know there are several out there, but I'd like to ask your opinion that ISIS is being created as a creation of this administration, or even before, but now for sure it's being funneled money through this CIA and different part of this administration. How can we put it out to the regular people out there who still believes that this ISIS, they are such evil Bedouins popping out of the desert like mushrooms?
Well, I just look at results, okay? And the results are that these ISIS fighters and al-Nusra fighters, which are basically another brand for Al-Qaeda in Syria and Iraq, that they are using U.S. weapons, they are using U.S. equipment, and Washington will turn around and say, oh, that's a mistake, we didn't mean it to fall into their hands, and I'm going to call because they know damn well in the game that they're in what the risks are with flooding, doing a fast and furious in Syria, Turkey, and in Iraq. They know what's going to happen. They're experts at it. Mm-hmm. They are masters of chaos, and also proof positive that the U.S. is backing al-Nusra, which is Al-Qaeda, because right now they are protesting because Russia has come to enter the situation in Syria, has carried out an airstrike, and now they're claiming that they're all upset. Because they're upset in Washington because the enemy which they've created, which they want to manage, is being now threatened by Russia. Yeah. And by the Syrian government. And this means that the game is up. There's a lot of clandestine activity. Al-Qaeda, al-Nusra, ISIS are infiltrated to the highest levels. If you look at history, all of these terrorist groups, no matter if they're in Europe, with the Red Brigades during Operation Gladio, yes, Al-Qaeda to the IRA in Britain, in Ireland, they are infiltrated to the highest level, number 1, 2, 3 in some cases. And the intelligence agencies will tell you behind closed doors that we need to be able to manage these groups because we can't defeat them, so we have our people inside. That is, to me, the biggest fraud of the clandestine foreign policy of the West, which has caused untold wars, untold violence, untold destabilization, and they use it to play a bigger geopolitical game. Right now, that is a game between the United States and Eurasian countries like Russia, like China, for economic dominance over Central Asia and the Middle East, and many of the choke points, the Horn of Africa, shipping points, mineral rights, what you see in Yemen, a perfect, blatant example of this right now, to control the straits of the Horn of Africa. That's what we get from this clandestine policy. And because it happens in the dark, they have the deniability, just like the Iran-Contra. Yeah. The death squads in Nicaragua are no different than ISIS. It's exactly the same thing. Look at the blueprint, then look at the people who are there present in Iraq when this phenomenon starts. John Negroponte and his protege, Robert Ford. John Negroponte is the architect of the death squad in Central America. Yes. You cannot tell me that's a coincidence.
No, it's true, and very important. I have something that is out there. It's not even a conspiracy. I'm sure everybody, or at least most of my listeners, are aware of Judicial Watch, a very respectable organization, non-partisan organization. All they do, they go out and try to get documents through Freedom of Information Act to expose government corruption. And this is the document that's not even that new, but the article was posted in 2015, the May 24th. It's called Newly Declassified U.S. Government Documents that they got from Judicial Watch. The West supported the creation of ISIS. And I have the documents on lovegunsfreedom.com. I'll post them today. And they are the original documents directly from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency. So this is the point, guys. Now, for all the people out there, former military or rednecks, that you think that these people, the ISIS, they are evil people. Yes, they are. But the point is, we need to find out who are their puppet masters. Who are their masters? Otherwise, if you just go out there, you think, you're going to try to play Rambo and, okay, fine, I'm here with you. I understand the threat. This is a lower level of ISIS. They're like useful idiots. They will kill everything doesn't look like them. But at the same time, let's see who put them there, who's financing them, who created them. Our enemy, it is not in the Middle Eastern. It is in Washington, D.C. I really believe that. It is the real players who are creating all this chess game. They're there, hiding in the darkness of these filthy rooms. That's what they're doing. And they're playing with our dollars. So this is so important. That's why, for me, this part of the show, it is not just to say, okay, we will understand now the threat is real. This migrants invasion, and among them there are many people that could be ISIS. It's real. But at the same time, who's creating this? That's probably the most important thing. Don't you think we need to understand, first of all, the causes of the disease before we can try to fix this problem?
Yeah, it is. It's getting more and more complicated. It's more and more difficult, and the average person's going to have a lot more trouble putting this puzzle together because half of it doesn't make sense, and then just when you think it does make sense, it doesn't make sense. It defies itself on so many levels. The migrant crisis is another perfect example of this. I mean, to me, I've covered immigration issues before. A lot of this is media hype. the numbers that we're talking about are nothing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was in Lebanon. That's a country the size of Rhode Island, maybe a bit bigger than Rhode Island, okay? They are, by 2012, they had already absorbed almost 1 million Syrian refugees. And you didn't hear anything on the news about it. Okay, and now they're crying about 20,000 or something like. It's nothing. Okay, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing.
I want your opinion on something, Patrick. You know, you also you're resident of London, England, and I never really been there last few years, at least 20 years, but I see videos, I see protests of Muslims people, I see regular British people treated like garbage just because they're in the wrong neighborhood. And, the fact is when there is a group that has a different cultural or religious background, okay, and unfortunately there's belief. If you're a true believer, I'm not talking about a phony Muslim, if you really believe in your book and you're a fundamentalist, just following what it says, there is not really much compatibility with a free society. That's a fact. My point is, what do you think is happening?
I've lived in London for 25 years,
okay,
and I have never seen any clashes between Muslims. And I'm very familiar with all the neighborhoods of the city, so I don't know who's putting those videos up, but that's not accurate.
Okay.
And Birmingham is not a no-go Sharia law zone like Bobby Jindal said.
Okay.
On U.S. national TV. That's not reality.
All right.
The UK is very well integrated. People get along.
Okay.
They have done for a very long time.
I'm glad to hear from you. That's why I say, I like to hear people that they've been there, and I can't say I was there. I just read in the news or whatever it's called news. I know, for example, though in Rome, in Italy, and part of Milan, that I'm still, have relatives and friends, things that are not exactly peachy. There is not integration. Unfortunately.
Well, France is a different story. See, this is what people need to understand. People like when they wave their flag, whether they're from France, Britain,
mm-hmm,
or America, they love the idea of empire. They hear the national anthem, they get patriotic, they think about the boats and
mm-hmm,
conquering the world. The British are probably the biggest at this, right? That's the British Empire they reminisce and romance about. The French do the same. Well, the French Empire was Northern Africa.
Yeah.
Algeria, part of Morocco, Tunisia. And so when you have an empire, one of the prices you pay of empire
mm-hmm,
is that you must have open borders. This is the price of empire. This is what Rome had.
Yeah.
And Rome eventually economically couldn't maintain the size of its empire, and also the immigration created a lot of political instability within Rome proper. And this is how it happens to empires. You cannot have an empire and then enclose borders. And so you either have to decide whether you're going to go all the way, have an empire, build it up, and let it collapse, and move on to the next version,
I understand.
or you do Switzerland and you don't have an empire and you keep your money at home.
Yeah, I was talking about Italy, by the way, not France. Maybe it was my misunderstanding. But the point is, Italy right now, for example, in the biggest cities, there is not integration, and there is a lot of, unfortunately, act of violence, and it's coming. I read the news, I read the Italian news every day, and there are, for example, now the removal of, even, I'm not Catholic, but, in Italy, since the moment that you were born, you go to school, there is a cross on the wall. You may like it or not. I don't even think it's religious. It's just a cultural fact. And now, unfortunately, there is a fact that they want to change even your cultural background. And, as I said, I'm not in England, but I was in Italy, and I still have relatives in Italy. Things that are not exactly the way I wish. Did you ever heard about the Kalergi plan? Do you know about the Kalergi plan? This Mr. Kalergi from the 1920s, this sort of a globalist who wanted to create this new humanoid, subhuman race. Did you ever read this book?
No, I haven't read that book. I'm familiar with that passage. I'm also familiar with similar pieces of literature along those lines. You're talking about the reformation of European culture and ethnic makeup by force. So what you're talking about there are social engineering agendas. And there are many of these social engineering agendas which are going on all over the world, but specifically Europe being probably the biggest battleground. And, of course, the United States and Canada, heavy social engineering, well, everywhere, really. It's happening in Africa, too. It's happening in Central Asia. China's been doing social engineering quite happily for many, many years. So they have a one-child policy. That is the ultimate in social engineering. That's UN-funded, by the way.
Yes, yes.
So what we're talking about in Europe, this is the problem. Italy's under stress. The migrant crisis is hit Italy and Greece and Croatia and Hungary particularly hard. But the people of Europe were not protesting when we destroyed the country of Libya. And Libya is one of the greatest corridors for migrants coming off of North Africa. Mm-hmm. It's a failed state. It's a collapsed state. There's no central government to speak of. These borders are completely eviscerated. It's anarchy. And so in that vacuum, if Gaddafi was still ruling or in charge of Libya, you would not see a migrant crisis coming from there. If we did not fund and to support and back the so-called Syrian rebels, who then morphed into other jihadist ISIS-type groups, we would not be having migrants coming from Syria into Turkey and Jordan and Lebanon and into Europe. If we did not occupy and bomb Afghanistan to smithereens for the last 15 years.
Yeah, no, I understand.
We probably wouldn't have an Afghan migrant crisis. But the other point is, this is Europe is an empire. Europe has so much wealth concentrated in it. It has a giant social safety net that other countries and places around the world do not have. So this is, again, one of the prices of empire. And to manage this, you have to have some very intelligent people running the show at the top to manage this properly. And I'm afraid it's very chaotic right now. Geopolitical agendas are clashing, causing more problems to compound, and now it's unmanageable.
Patrick, I think, honestly, more than having smart people there, you must have a lot of dumb idiots as people, as citizens that don't want to be involved, because you said the right thing. They don't need to be genius. We need just to be sleeping. Because for every action, there is a reaction. I mean, all these people are now coming out as refugees. Even, of course, we know that among them there is also elements of potential terrorists. But the point is, if Syria wasn't bombed to hell and we didn't mingle to try to destabilize that area, probably we wouldn't have refugees from Syria. As you said, if Libya wasn't dethroned, I mean, after all, Gaddafi was the sovereign, ruler of their country, okay? We like it or not, there are many other idiots out there that are worse than him, okay? The point is, he was completely, now we think that the United Nations, all they have to do is sit down like the mob and say, okay, now you gotta go. Because we say so, because you don't play game with us, because you don't have a central bank, because maybe you don't want to have these GMO seeds, or maybe you don't want to be part of the new club.
Hey, but let me throw this out, and this some people might not like what I'm about to say.
That's fine. You can say whatever you want here. Go ahead.
But it's true. The biggest refugee population in the Middle East for the last 50, 60, 65, 70 years, and I've seen them. I've been to the camps.
Okay.
And they're Palestinian refugees.
Okay.
I've been to a camp, 200,000 people crammed into the size of a shopping mall, Tempe Marketplace, living there since 1950s, 2-3 generations, no passports, no citizenship, no rights. And they were there because a large group of European settlers came and created the state of Israel, and guess what happened? Refugees, left, right, and center. There's loads in Syria. They're in Jordan. They're in Lebanon. They're in Egypt. They're in occupied Palestine. They're in Gaza, the West Bank. They're in Europe. They're in London. They're in New York.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. So this is the result of some kind of a colonial expansion.
I understand.
And that is just a fact. That is a natural result. When you have an action, you have a reaction, and people have to be honest about how these things begin and how they mushroom so quickly.
Yeah, and also they have this sort of a logic and philosophy, these globalists, order out of chaos. So they create first the chaos, and it seems like chaos, but it's a very organized chaos, like a chess game, as you said, three-dimensional chess game. And then they will give you the order, and that's going to be part of the plan. And by the way, as much as I understand, of course, if you are silent, you're responsible, at least you're part of the problem. At the same time, there are a lot of people, for example, like in Italy, that they have to work 30, 40 years to collect their social security check that's worth nothing, and then when they see coming hundreds of thousands of people that they came there and they can collect welfare and can collect free housing and, completely bankrupt even more whatever is already gone, the social welfare system in Italy. That is wrong, by the way. I don't want to be stolen by the government to give to somebody else. but for sure, I don't want to start to give it to the rest of the world. Yes, we need to understand the costs. And then, of course, I hope all the European people out there understand that you need to get your government accountable when you start to create these phony proxy wars, and that we have no business to be into it. Listen, I really want to thank you, and I always say, in this show, everything, I want to have everybody. I don't care if we agree 100% or 50% or 20%. The point is, this is very important topics. And we must be free to talk about this thing like something that normally in part of the Europe you are not free to talk. And I will have next segment now a guy from Germany that probably just for the conversation we are having right now, or like for example the final part of the show today, I have a guest, a caller, that he doesn't believe in the Holocaust in the way the books of history say. And I don't need to be here to agree or disagree. I want to just say that everybody has the right to express their opinions. That's the bottom line for me. And nobody's going to jail. Nobody's going to censor anybody here. That's the spirit of the show. That's the spirit of America for me. Patrick, say one more time, please, your website and how people can reach you out.
Sure, it's 21stcenturywire.com, and also I write for a bunch of other publications, the ukcolumn.org, so you can see us there. I'm on Twitter and Facebook, and so we're out and about, and sometimes on RT International.
Thank you, Patrick. Don't go away, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And I have this friend that I had already as a guest a few weeks ago, and I want to bring him back in because I think it's really important to hear his personal opinion, and I would like to verify some very gruesome information that I'm receiving from Germany about this new flux of supposed to be refugees. His name is Jörg from Hamburg. Jörg, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Hello, Luca.
Okay,
nice to be here once again. Thanks so much. I'm really pleased to be for a second time as a German guy on your so well-known radio show, Love, Guns and Freedom. Hope today my headset sound will be working a little bit better as last time.
You're doing great. You're doing great, by the way. And as I said, this show for me is the most important thing. Yes, we have also the famous guests or the writers, the authors, whatever. But the most important people are the listeners because you live in a reality that it's real. It is not filtered by the media. And you can verify it. We can all somehow use each other to verify what's going on in this world. And that's why I really encourage everybody out there from any part of the world. This is not just an American show. This is not just a show from Arizona. This is a show about humanity against the New World Order, against the tyrants. So we need each other, and I appreciate your help to be here. Now, today I wanted to go back to something very important. Since the last time we talked, how did the refugee situation, the scenario from Syria, has improved or degraded in Germany? What happened? What's happening right now in Germany with this new scenario of thousands of refugees supposedly from Syria? What's going on?
Well, let me try to say it in some sentences. I would say there has been started a great change in awareness of our own population since we had spoken about last time.
Wow, good.
But to put it bluntly, there are just maybe 20% of the refugees from Syria who have the true legitimation to be immigrants from war. Mm-hmm. The greatest part of them here is from Africa, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, a lot from poor Europe countries like Romania, Albania, and so on. They are, you can say, economic immigrants. They want to have a better life and comes with lost or faked passports here beyond the borders. There were just found boxes 1 week ago in Austria with fake passports from Syria. Mm-hmm. Other refugees, they have are not from Syria, can get it for $750 to have no problems with legal immigration to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
My only question is this, George. I mean, I understand, a lot of people would like to have a better life. I understand because I was one of them. I left Italy after all. I came to America. But there is a difference, though. When I came to America, I didn't get any dollars or any check from the government. I see in Germany you have I don't want to even use the word amazing because it's terrifying. If I was a taxpayer, I would be so pissed off to see how much money every migrant gets the moment that put his foot in Germany. They get housing, they get checks for welfare. I mean, that's like winning the lottery, seriously. So the difference is I am all for people that would like to come in a country and find their, fulfillment as human beings to become successful, to have a better life. Great. But I see there that the mentality, unfortunately, there are photos of these long lines of fresh migrants, as they want to call them, going straight to the welfare office, the German welfare office, that, this is the most devastating things for a taxpayer to see people that they just came here or came there and they not even start to work. They start collecting checks from your tax dollar while maybe you have in hardship to pay your mortgage. This is insane. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's you have to know. Nearly 10,000 of them comes here day by day. Every day. You listen right. And lots of them are being not registered by crossing the border.
Mm-hmm.
And some officials say that it absolutely could be that we got lots of soldiers from ISIS among them.
Mm-hmm. No,
Media says that our borders are closed. That's a fake to calm down the citizens. The past 2 weeks, our police and other agencies are at the end of their forces.
Mm-hmm.
Accordingly, reports of the dire conditions in the refugee centers are increasingly being reported in the media.
Mm.
There was a great, big surprise.
Yeah.
If you can believe.
Yeah, they're hiding. The police is hiding reports of rapes. I mean, this is something that's happening. If you see the photos, most of these refugees, they are not even families. They are young males, okay? And don't get me wrong, in every culture there is always the idiot out there or the rapist. But when you have a young male coming from a cultural background, suppressed and repressed, like the Arab, okay? They don't have regular interactions with women, okay? They live normally in the middle of Middle Ages culture, especially if you follow the religion of Allah. You don't have the chance to interact with a woman normally. So one time you see a blonde, beautiful woman out there, maybe she has a skirt. These bastards, they're like, rabid dogs on speed. That's what they become. Sorry. And that's why you see that they cannot behave. They cannot have a normal interaction with a woman. If the woman says no, I don't even think they ask for a woman to go out. Sometimes they just go out there, and there are many cases being proven. This is not about hate speech. I don't care anyway, whatever people think about it. This is about facts. The highest number now of rapes, it's happening in Sweden. And it's happening thanks to, and I've been sarcastic here, these completely open borders, suicidal government policy to accept all these refugees non-stop from especially Muslim countries. So, did you hear any cases or watching the TV or listening to the radio on the news about raping in your communities or in your areas?
Yes, Luca, I've heard about this issue. Short telling, it's a public shame.
I sent you an article that also I read on InfoWars. It was a very good article. Germans who make racist anti-migrant posts could have their children snatched by the state and be fired from their jobs, according to the German Lawyers Association. What do you think about this?
It's not a fake. It's sadly the truth. They really use this tool now to control the situation, because more and more people do recognize that it really happens here in and with this state called Germany. By the way, for all who they are like to know, Germany is not a state. It's an NGO, non-government organization. And all through this, fact, all German citizens are stateless. But only the less know this. The ones who they try to cover up this or facts or others, getting pressure measures by officials like to snatch their kids. We don't have alone the current problematic with the new invaders in our country. We as Germans got screwed in different ways.
Yeah. No,
it gives a law. It gives a law that the children are the property of state.
Yeah, and I remember there was a case of this family from Germany that they were able to immigrate to America, and they were staying in California, and they were staying under the status of political refugees, because in Germany homeschooling, it's outlawed. You cannot homeschool your children, and this family wanted to, yeah. And then, of course, the Obama administration and the State Department say, okay, now we're going to send them back. So they were sent back to Germany, and probably their children, didn't follow the story, but I'm sure they were separated by the family. So this is something we must understand. And this is not just Germany, guys. This is also the rest of Europe. Germany is conforming to the European Community mafia laws, okay? That's part of the New World Order. If you go to Italy, it's the same story. Different levels, but not really that different, you know. If you criticize, for example, the religion of peace, and I've been sarcastic here, I use two we, okay, because it's nothing about peace. In America, I can still say that. I'll give you an example. Brigitte Bardot, the famous actress from France, okay, or Oriana Fallaci, the famous Italian journalist, just because they wrote a letter to the editor, criticize in a very polite way. I mean, compared to them, I am like a monster, okay? When I tell you things, I tell you exactly what I think. Oriana Fallaci was so well-spoken, and so Brigitte Bardot. Brigitte Bardot was saying that this religion of Muslims coming to France, they are completely destroying the identity and the cultural and taking over France. And that, using just my words, you know, she did a much more diplomatic way. Guess what? She was sued, she was brought in front of a judge, and at the end of the day, she was forced to pay. She was forced to pay a fine, otherwise going to jail. That's the point. There is no freedom of speech in Europe, Italy included, and Germany is the same. You see, now in Germany, if you speak up against just your opinion, you don't need even to speak up against anybody. You just say your opinion about this invasion. You can get your kids, your children, taken, kidnapped by the state, and lose your job. This is sickening. But the worst part, I think, is going to be when you wake up and you're surrounded in your neighborhood where you were living and growing up when you were a child with your friends and family that at least used to speak the same language. And, you know, I am all for diversity, but must be a diversity that you can keep at your home. Because when I am in my house, I eat pasta and I speak Italian if I want. But when I'm in public, I speak English, even with an accent. And if I was in Germany, I would apply myself to speak German. Okay, that's the bottom line. Instead, they take over like roaches, and this is me speaking, not you, because you can get in trouble if you say this stuff in Germany. You know, they take over with their mentality to take over. That's part of their book. They are not coming there to assimilate. I'm sorry, it's a fact. Look around. And they use violence. You know, how many cases of violence now we having because of this new flux of supposed to be immigrants. They are not immigrants. They are violent, most of them. Don't get me wrong. There's some people out there that may be still, you know, but they're cultural. Even the women, they are trained to be, unfortunately, part of this brainwash system. That's the reality. That's the reality. Did you expect any type of violence coming soon to your area, or at least in the big cities where people, you know, start maybe to try to defend themselves, or maybe they've been attacked?
Yes. Some stories I have heard. I personally, being not attacked by anyone, I'm a bit armed for myself if something this way would be happen to me. But of course, especially in the southern area of Germany, you hear a lot about this. Yeah, that child being raped. I know from one just 7-year-old girl, she was being raped by a Muslim, in the near of Bavaria. And,
And and there are many cases, not just in Germany, like for example in Denmark, that girl, being beat up brutally with this chain, metal chain, steel chain, and so her boyfriend, just because they were blonde. And then there was, of course, we have situation like, in Sweden, this nurse being gang raped by 17 Afghanis or whatever they are. I mean, this is more and more. And look at the statistics. We have the statistic of rapes all over Sweden, they're out of control. My point is also another thing, the same times your governments, not just the German, but all European governments, are letting the gates open with all these barbarians getting through the gates. And then you know that unless you're a policeman or if you're a professional criminal or you are one of these politicians, anyway, they always have protection paid by your tax dollar. You are completely unarmed. You cannot even have a knife on yourself if you walk around town to defend yourself. That's the very sad things. I feel in America we are next. Obama is doing the same, but at least we have one thing that they know. In most of the states, we have the right to protect ourselves, and we can carry that right with us wherever we go without permits, even if we want to, like in Arizona. But I feel sorry for all of you guys. This is so sad, so sad. I hope we can find a solution. Did you have a chance to look at the Kalergi plan? I mentioned about that a few weeks ago. This New World Order planner in the 1920s, it was from Austria, that he planned all this sort of creation of this new mud race, as he called it. Did you ever remember this Kalergi plan?
I know about it.
Good.
Do you know the greatest gag is our Chancellor Merke, yes, got a prize 2008 from the Coudenhof-Kalergi Foundation. That is a great gag.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought it up. I forgot. This is very important. It shows you exactly that all these heads of politicians, like your first minister, she is one part. She's exactly implementing the plan of these globalists. And there was a long-term plan, to destroy every type of sovereignty in any European nations. So that's exactly what they're doing. And she's the perfect puppet, like, Mr. Renzi, the first minister of Italy, is doing exactly the puppet job for them and the one before him. So unfortunately it's true. Jörg, I really pray for you, my friend. And I always say, if you see things that are very bad, go straight to Mexico. I give you the tip how to come to America without any special visa, because if you come from Germany, you're going to have a lot of rough time. They're not going to let you in, okay? Let me tell you the tip. This is a friendly tip. I'm not giving you legal advices, but I think I got something right here. You go straight to Mexico City, okay, or somewhere around there. Take a nice suntan, okay? Probably you're kind of North European, so get a little bit of a makeup, look a little bit like south of the border. Learn a couple of, bad words in Spanish, okay? Then you go straight to the border, okay? Don't worry about anything. Go by foot, buy a pair of new shoes, and walk. Keep walking north. When you go there and the border patrol, they're going to see you, and they're going to probably, try to stop you, maybe arrest you. But all you have to say the magic word, I love Obama, and I vote Democrat. And boom, they're going to put you on a limousine, they're going to give you a special free meal, happy meal at McDonald's, and then they're going to give you $100 pass, okay, just to get on. And once you go to the big town, they will give you free housing and check and welfare and also a free lawyer by the ACLU for the permit. And I'm not kidding. I am not kidding, my friend. I had to do visas for my mom, okay, and I'm an American citizen.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I had to go spend dollars and dollars and waiting time. And now I heard that, all the illegals mean that didn't have a permit. They were taken from especially the Guatemala area, the part that Obama did by executive order, this sort of reunion of families. They were flying on our tax dollar, and once they got in America, they also got a lawyer paid by our tax dollar to do the paperwork, and now they got put on top of the line, in front of the line. So this is so disgusting. And this is all for you, supporter of that piece of trash called Obama. If you really believe in equality, if you really believe in immigration, legal immigration, we should all be treated the same. And this is not Luca Zanna being born in Alabama or like a redneck. I was born in Rome, Italy, and I came here legally, and I had to wait years and do what I had to do to be part of this country. Instead, now you are supporting the most unequal, fascistic system of taking over this country. So that's the point. Everybody support Obama is a piece of trash, especially in the immigration issue. And you know what? I'm so proud I'm here and I can say this thing. And let me break some European law right now because I really enjoy this. For example, the Merkel, how do you pronounce in Germany, Merkel?
Merkel?
Your first minister, what is it? Merkel? How do you say in German?
Our Chancellor. Chancellor?
Yes, Chancellor. Say it right. I want to say it right. Angela Merkel?
Angela Merkel.
Angela Merkel. Okay. You are a piece of trash. Now, you say to me, you're not saying that. I'm saying that. How do you say that in German? You are a piece of trash. I want to say that in German. Please help me out. Okay, just say piece of trash. I'll say the name. Piece of trash. How do you say piece of trash?
Same like a piece of crap.
Yeah, whatever you want to say. Piece of crap. Just tell me the German version, and I will put the together.
Ein Stück Scheiße.
Okay, ein Stück Scheiße. Okay, let's do that. You're not going to break the law. I'm going to say...
A piece of crap.
Yeah.
Ein Stück Scheiße.
Ein Stück Scheiße. Angela Merkel, you are a piece of trash. I can do that in German. Not good, but... okay, let's do a combined effort, okay? I say the name, and you say the rest in German. Angela Merkel, I know you hear me, because you also, by the way, my last YouTube show was outlaw in Germany, was blocked by YouTube. You piece of trash. Angela Merkel, you are, go ahead, say in German.
Ein Stück Scheiße.
Perfect. And you didn't break the law. I said that. So I'll tell you again. Angela Merkel and all the European politicians who support the Kalergi Plan and New World Order, you must have a special place in hell to rot with them. My friend, I really appreciate your help and your input. And if you see any type of, black cars roaming around your apartment or wherever you live, just remember the plan. Straight to the airport, go to Mexico City, then call me and I'll go get you at the frontier, okay?
Okay, I will do. Thanks for this good idea.
I'm not that far from the border. Don't worry. I can organize a pickup truck there, okay? See you there.
That sounds very good.
Thank you, Jörg. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. And let me tell you, this is true. We are joking around, but that's not really. If you say something like that in Germany, criticizing, like I did, the Italian president, or in this case, that I can say whore. Yes, I can say whore. This is not FCC not approved. Whore is an English word. This prostitute of the New World Order, like Angela Merkel, you go straight to jail. Okay? That's why we're here. We got to exercise this First Amendment. That's why I'm on this radio. And till I have the opportunity to say what I really think, I'll be here. Now, don't go away. We got more guests, and we're going to exercise more our First Amendment. I'm going to squeeze it today. I'm going to do push-ups on one finger. I'm going to show to the rest of the world that in America, even with all trash that we have in Washington, just because we have our Bill of Rights, and we're here, we exercise it, and we're going to make the difference. We're going to take it back, and I hope we can spread it around the world. I really hope every country, I don't care if you live in Germany, in Sweden, in Scotland, you should have the First Amendment. You should also have the Second Amendment to defend against these bastards, leeches that take over your government. I'm with you, I pray with you, no matter where you are. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Second hour, it's all about guns, and it's all about freedom, because there is a connection. Without guns, there is no freedom. Sorry, guys. You can say you're free whatever you want, but the bottom line, they'll shut you up. The bottom line, they will put you in the camps. It happened in history, everywhere. Now, this hour today, it's probably even more important than the past. And you will see why at the end of the hour. The second part of this hour, I have a guest. It's an American man, U.S. veteran. More important is an American man who is not afraid to exercise his First Amendment. And then what you have to say now, what is the connection? You know, it's talking about First Amendment while we're talking about guns. You will see now. Because in America, if you want to exercise your First Amendment, you better be prepared to also use your Second Amendment to defend your life, to defend your family. That's where we're living right now. That's why this is so vital, that you listen. You understand this is not a hobby. This is not a sport. This is nothing just to entertain yourself. As a hobby, you know what I do? I collect butterflies. Or maybe look at the stars. Or I count spaghetti. That's what I do for hobby. I eat them. This is a really like serious matter of life or death. None of my rifles are for hunting purposes. Yes, I can eventually, if I want, I can hunt with any rifle I have. But I don't really hunt. I don't buy $2,000 rifle to hunt. I may go hunt if I want to with a spear if I have to. Okay? The rifles for me are defending my freedom and this republic. Simple as that. Now, I don't want to ruin the surprise because you got to listen to the final part of the show. Meanwhile, we start the first part of the show. And all I want to do in this part of the segment, I want to empower you. I want to give you every opportunity you have to buy whatever tool you need. I don't care if you can afford, $1,000 Kimber or whatever handgun or $120, high point affordable gun. I don't care. Whatever you gotta buy, though, you buy it. And remember, don't think just because you have a handgun, you're set. The handgun, it is just the first step to fight your way to the rifle. Okay? At the end of the day, we should all become riflemen. That's the way you defend freedom. Your handgun is to defend your persona, your person. The shotgun to defend your castle, your home. But how you defend freedom? With a rifle. That's why all governments, they don't want citizens armed with rifles. That's why even in Europe, in Germany, for example, or in Italy, there is no Second Amendment, but the government will allow you eventually, of course always paying fees for permits, to have a shotgun. Because the shotgun, after all, it's for peasants. You can go hunt with a shotgun, but you don't defend your freedom. So get your rifle at the end. Let's start with the basic things, First of all, before even we go there, I've been told that I broke several European laws. Yes, I'm a lawbreaker in Europe. But don't get me wrong. Not according to American laws. And I'm an American. And you know what these laws are? About freedom of speech. Yes, I didn't kill anybody. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't, steal. I didn't rob. I didn't do drugs. No, just because in Europe, my speech, it is against the law. And I give you an example, For example, a couple of years ago, I wrote a poem for the former Italian president, Giorgio Napolitano. You can go on YouTube. You can put Gianluca Zanna, Giorgio Napolitano, president, poem. That poem, I also sent it to the to the White House of the Italian president with a note, Merry Christmas. I know he got it. Guess what? Just because you offend the Italian president, there is a specific law in the criminal penal code. You can spend 5 years in jail. Boom. Couldn't wait to break the law. I'm an American. I gave up and I burned my Italian passport in 2005, exactly the day after when I became an American. In my oath to defend this republic was also that I am not allegiance to anybody else, no more to other state or potentate. So screw it. That was this easy decision. Now, not only I broke that Italian law offending his assiness, as I call him, but also, I call, in this show, for example, and also in other show on the internet, the German Chancellor, Angela Merke, a whore of the New World Order. right there. You can get arrested. You call somebody like that, especially one of the first minister or the chancellor of the nation. In Italy, it's a federal law. That's it. In Germany, probably there is a law there too. Also, just calling the English queer, the Queen, I wrote a nice little song that I know is going pretty hard out there, and I'm amazed it didn't get banned yet. God damn the Queen. So there is different things. Just because you have freedom of speech, and for example, in this show, you will listen the second part of this show, the final hour. I have a guest who does not believe in the Holocaust. You know what? This is not about me, believe it or not. It is about freedom of speech. And the point is, in France, for example, in France, there is a law that you go to jail if you deny the Holocaust. And I'm not here to deny or to say it's right or not. I'm here to say that this man has the right in America to exercise his freedom of speech. But I already know, in Europe, I can be sent to jail. And I know that pretty much exactly what can happen. Because there is Obama executive order. There was a couple years ago. I already talked about this on the show. But, I had sources in the Italian law enforcement, people that I used to know when we were younger. And we did a military academy together. Now they are high up in the order of military police. And my name is going around. Excellent. I think it's excellent. It means I'm doing my job. But there is a new trick now, a new little twist. Obama, with this executive order, gives the Interpol, and you say, what is the Interpol? Interpol is the new world order global police. It's global government police. That means it's the international police that has the authority in their mind to come in every part of the world, navigate, avoid the sovereignty of that nation, and technically they have power of arresting people in their mind. Obama now gave him a couple of years ago with his executive order. You can Google it directly from the White House, website. Obama executive order, immunity, Interpol. You'll find it. To arrest anybody, of course, and also to be immune to American laws. So they can come here, knock you down, arrest you, kill you, shoot you, and not even be part of the due process that we have. Like normally law enforcement or peace officers should be, constrained. Think about it. This is complete tyranny. So I have a message. This is why this is now. Why are you talking about all this in the second hour? This is about guns. And this is exactly why I'm screaming out of my lungs to tell you this is the time, more than ever, to understand the purpose of the Second Amendment, to use it. Don't wait and then knock at your door. Let's start to talk now. Which gun do you need? Which shotgun do we need? Which rifle do I need? And how do I train? How much ammo? Where do I buy the ammo? This is why I'm here. I'm trying to give you everything I can to prepare yourself. First of all, you prepare yourself in your mind, in your heart. You can just be armed with a stick, with a little whatever. I don't care if you have like a slingshot. But if your heart and if your mindset is right, I have more respect for a man armed with a slingshot, but he's gonna use it if he has to, than some guy that he has $3,000 rifle, and then the moment of the need, they're gonna run. So let's start to think with a mindset. This is not a game, it's happening. Now, different scenarios. Maybe now Interpol is not going to come at your door. Maybe it's not going to come at my door, but that's not the point. Things are happening. I mean, we heard before about now that our borders are completely open. Wide open. There is no more border. Not just for the illegal aliens from south of the border. Now they're coming by 100,000 from Syria, only God knows where. And you know what? All you got to do is get 5% of them, even just 1%, that they are militants, that they're armed, and, they're trained. They can get the arms here if they want to. So you're going to have civil war. You got to be watching when you go to church. You got to be watching if you are outspoken in your beliefs, or you just even exercising your First Amendment. So that's why we got to train. That's why this purpose of this show, it's all connected. There is no freedom without guns. That's simple as that. George Washington, I think, used to call him the thief of freedom. Yes, it's true. And that's why we have an advantage in this country. It's a right. It's not a privilege. I know some states like California, it's becoming a privilege, but still, you still have better off than Italy or Europe in general. They're completely castrated there. So let's use this right. Now, as I said many times, I don't care what you buy. I'm not here to tell you, let's have a conversation about what is better, a Glock or a Beretta. Yeah, we had it for fun, but that's not the point. I don't care. You must have, though, a gun, handgun, Hopefully semi-automatic. If it's a revolver, that's fine. Just train with that. And train especially in the tactical, emergency reload, and tactical reload. That's the bottom line. You must train. Whatever you have, you use it. Now, I gave you many opportunities. People I think, say, you know what, maybe I'm broke now. I need to wait the next paycheck, whatever. There is no excuse. I give you the opportunity to look for guns that go from $120, like a High Point, to places like, for example, Sportsman Guide. And there is a gun that I have in the shopping cart right now. I really like it, by the way. It's a Beretta 92A1 semi-automatic 9mm. This is nice. This is the upgraded version of Beretta. And you can buy this gun. They can ship directly to your FFL dealer. Okay? And you can becoming a member of Sportsman Guide. You can make 4 payments in 4 different months. So let's say you can get this Beretta 92A1 semi-automatic. This is the one that has also the rail guide for the dedicated light. It's an upgraded version of 92A1. It's nice. $670. But guess what? You can make 4 payments. So that's another opportunity. Think about it. There is no excuse. You gotta have one gun and stick with that gun. Okay? If you like to have like 50 guns, handguns, first of all, I would say that's fine, that's great. But you know what? The handgun, it is not the main thing I would invest my money. There is no war ever won with a handgun. The handgun is just for personal protection. My opinion, the handgun is the way I can fight my way to the rifle. Simple as that. And I like guns, I got my 1911, I got my CZ75, I have revolvers, blah, blah, blah. By the end of the day, I train with my Glock. Simple as that. And that's what I carry. Simple as that. So, have one gun. Whatever you have it now, and start training. Number 2, you need a shotgun. I'm not going to tell you which shotgun you get. You got so many options. I already talked about this in the past, but this is so important. You got to have a shotgun for many purposes. And it's not for hunting, okay? It is mostly to defend your castle. And don't get me wrong. Times get tough. With shotgun, you can go and take care of your family. You can eat, okay? That's the bottom line. But more important is for defense of your castle. As I said, there are many shotguns out there. You can go between the Remington S70, that's great, or the platform of the Mossberg 500. My favorite, Mossberg 500, exactly 590 A1. With the ghost ring, you can get it, different type of length of barrel. I like with the 8+1 chamber, the longer barrel. But that's me. Whatever you have, train with a shotgun. Don't think just because you have it there close to your bed, it's going to be there and you make the click noise, everybody's going to get scared. No, you got to really train. A shotgun, especially the pump action, it needs a lot of integration, a lot of synchronization with your arm to be sure that you cycle it correctly. Be sure that you can know how to load it up, unload it, change from backshot or birdshot to slug. It's important to train. Now, then we gotta get the rifle. I already said that. There is no excuse. This is the beginning. This is the basics. These are the basics. Then the next thing I will tell you, we gotta do the training. And I also give you an opportunity. I want to give you every opportunity I can. I had on this show from front side to gun side to personal local trainers here in the area. I don't care. I don't even get paid by them. My only goal is that you get the training you need. This is the time that all of us, as Americans, we all commit ourselves in defense of this republic and also defending each other. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm here as a big shot or a hero. I'm not here to say I'm going to do Rambo. But I say something, somebody next door to me start to scream in the middle of the night. There's a bunch of men dressed like ninja. That they come there without any type of lawful warrant. And they have a foreign accent. I don't care wherever they're from. They better have a warrant. They better stick to the due process. Otherwise, for me, these are like UFO. I treat them like aliens from Mars. And I would do everything I can to defend my fellow neighbor. That's why we gotta stay for each other. That's why we gotta first start as individuals. You start as an individual. You don't need to wait the rest of the mob or the group. Do your part. Do your duty. And it's all about prioritization. You can say, I don't have enough money. Guess what? How much did you spend today when you get out at Starbucks? How much money did you leave? At least $5 for nothing. For some GMO, probably coffee and maybe some garbage full of corn syrup, whatever it is, a little bakery. Guess what? $5 every day, it's $150. It is? Yeah, at the end of the month, I think it is. Even a wop like me can count till 30. 5 by 30, $150. Guess what? With $150, I already got at least my down payment, or at least one of my payments for my handgun. And I'm talking about the top handgun I can get in places like Sportsman Guide. And by the way, I just want to be sure, Sportsman Guide is not my sponsor. Every name I bring you here, they are not my sponsors. And not because I don't want them. No, because now I think it's more important to bring you the information and start to beg to somebody for sponsor. So what I want to give you the information. At the same time, I remind you though, I'm here, I'm still made of flesh and bone. I still eat 3 times a day, maybe twice. But still, I have bills to pay. And I dedicate hours for the show, for you, also for myself, because I believe that when all going to be together, united, and prepared, we have a better chance to survive as a free nation. So I also remind you that you can support the show. And I hope you do. I'm not shy about it. You don't need to be rich. I don't want a check. I don't want, charity. All I ask you go to my website, at least one of my websites, like, for example, zanna.us, my main music website. You can download any of my songs for 99 cents. I didn't say $100. I didn't say $90. I didn't say, $9. I say 99 cents. I'm trying to give you now just a tip. Like, just for example, bring your Sportsman Guide that you can get 4 payments for any item, like a gun or anything, even ammunition, and try to bring you other information that I will now, right now. I hope right there that's worth it. Hope that's right worth the 99 cents. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, number 2, another important thing we need, it's a rifle. I said many times, you can get whatever you want. I don't care if you get your Mosin gun, $99 or $129. One of the best places you can get it, in my opinion, it's J&G Sales in Prescott, Arizona. I got mine there a few years ago. I bought them by group of 6. I say no. Honestly, I think I did 7, 1 for every day of the week. Why? Why do I need 7 Mosin guns? First of all, because I like it. First of all, because I really think they're cool. I like to put them on the wall and I'm staring at them. 7, 1 for every day of the week. But you know what? Sometimes there's always some idiot that forgot to buy his rifle when they had a chance. And he's coming, maybe knocking at your door. Maybe there is some real problem out there for the whole community. Guess what? You're not going to get my $2,000 M14. No way. You're going to work your way out. I'm going to give you maybe a Mosin gun. At least it's a rifle that you can start with. But the point is, I don't care if you get a $120 Mosin gun. The point is, if you train with that, if you have the right mindset, you can become a warrior for peace, a warrior for freedom. You're probably a much more powerful warrior, or dangerous warrior against the tyrants than just if you had the most expensive rifle out there, you don't know how to use it, or you don't want to use it. That's the bottom line. So, get your rifle. I'm not going to go back now between AK-47, AR-15, M14, whatever you get one. Now, with the rifle, you got to get your ammo. Okay? And I want to give you, one more time, one of the best sources for me for ammo. Okay? At least this is for me. sgammo.com. S as Sam, G as Golf, ammo.com. Okay, there are great deals. I mean, I shop around a lot. Used to be Sportsman Guide, very good on prices of ammo. Now, SG Ammo for me is number 1. Also cheaper than dirt is really good, okay? The point is, get whatever rifle you have. Don't do like, in Europe, that they give you a maximum quantity you can have. I think in Europe you cannot have more than 200 rounds. After that, you break the law. Here you can have 100,000 of rounds if you want to. And you know that, for what I know, at least in Arizona, there is no law that does not allow you to do that. So use your rights. You know what? People say, what do I need all these rounds for? First of all, I didn't say buy 100, but you know what? 100,000 would be great. Guess what? It's an investment, first of all. People say invest in gold, great. Invest in silver, great. I say also invest in copper and lead. Because I tell you, when really things are going to get nasty, I don't think you can defend yourself with gold unless you got a bar. Maybe 2 pounds bar, you can knock somebody in the head with that. But otherwise, you better get your rounds. Because I don't care how many rifles you have. If you do not have enough ammo, sooner or later, ammo, they're perishable. You're going to have like an expensive club. That's what you have. So you got your rounds. And I don't want to say 10,000, 5,000. All I say, as many as you can afford. I say as many as your, as your ground, as your floor can handle. And guess what? I like cement floors. that's where I live. So I love it. That's the bottom line. So, and then we gotta go to the training. Now, I gave you an opportunity, and we're almost at the end. This is the last week, I guess. And I wasn't impressed. Where are you guys? I'm trying to give you $15,000 free of training for your lifetime, becoming a member of Frontsight Nevada, Diamond membership. This is not a sponsor. I'm offering it myself, Luca Zanna. I'm one of the top level members there, so I can do that. So I want to give you that opportunity. That was with Chris Shank, a guest of mine on my show a few months ago. Okay, professional shooter on History Channel. We had a great show with him. The point is, I was going to give it to him, this membership. I said, no, let's give it to one of your listeners. And I said, how do we do that? Let's do it with like a little contest. You got to do a little video of yourself and all the directions, all the information for this little contest. They are on lovegunsfreedom.com homepage, top left. You will see the photo of Chris Chang. Click that, and there are all the information. I'm giving it away, $15,000 value of training for the rest of your life. So I want you trained, and I want you to train others. That's the bottom line. So that's where we start to are now. This is the reality. It's coming to a point, and you will see now, I don't want to ruin the surprise. It's coming. That we're not anymore in America anymore. You think you're safe just because you're in America, you have freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want. No, you can't. I mean, yes, you still can probably, but you got to pay the consequences. Probably you're going to start now to realize that if you say something like could be offensive to a religious group, they may put you on the target list. And you can be a target, you and your family. So you see, supposedly, what? We went to Iraq to defend our freedom. Guess what? Our freedom is gone. Thanks to the government, and more now, thanks to allowing the government all these radicals in our country. So no, we are more in danger than ever. Now, another place I like to recommend, I like to shop, it's centerfiresystems.com, centerfiresystems.com. There are great deals on magazines. For example, there is now a K-47 magazine, 30 rounds, $6.99 for each one, if you buy 3 or more. That's really good, $7, Same thing for if you got Glocks. I mean, I always like to recommend to buy original Glock factory magazine, especially for what you carry. But I tell you, for training, especially you need extra magazine, I suggest you this. You can go to get, they have like this Korean KCI aftermarket Glock magazine. You can get like, for example, the 40 caliber 32 rounds extended magazine for $9.99, or you can get a Glock 17 9mm, or even for the 19, doesn't matter, 33 rounds for $9.99, and they work. I got a few of them. Okay, as I said, I would not use that for my main self-defense situation, but for practicing, they're great. And honestly, I never had any problem. Normally I get this one also for my 17 rounds regular magazine. I try them out. I'm fine with those. I just, I like to be sticking, though, with the regular factory market, So that's the bottom line. This is very important. You never know. This may be my last show. You never know. So all I'm saying, you better start to organize yourself. You got to start to, first of all, to train yourself. You got to better start to get your gun, your shotgun, your rifle. Get your ammo. Get your gear. How are you going to carry that rifle? How many rounds can you carry without a gear? In case there is a real need. And people say, it's not going to happen here. Did you see what happened in France when you have these riots in these neighborhoods where the Muslims got completely crazy? You see what happened there? It's only a question of time when they start to reach critical mass and they have enough numbers. These people, they're okay with that. They're loving it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are some Muslims that they will never do violence. But guess what? Probably they're not real Muslims. Maybe they don't just really read the whole book. But my point, regardless, things can happen. We're going to be surrounded in our own soil. Maybe not today. Maybe in the next 5 years. We may really live in another America. Maybe if you listen to this show in 5 years from now. And now, right now, exactly, I tell you, we are October 2014. Okay? October the 4th. And if you listen to the show in the future, and you are in America, I just hope I was wrong. I hope all this is going to go away. I really do. I mean, why it doesn't look like? So get your stuff now. Train now. Then after you do that, you gotta start to think that alone, we are vulnerable. After all, you got only 2 eyes. You gotta sleep sometimes. I don't know anybody can sleep with 1 eye open, 1 closed, but maybe somebody's out there, but still, you need 2 other eyes to see what's your back. So, you start to organize your family. That's your first team. I'm not telling you that you start a new militia or start an army or start anything. You start to organize your family, have a plan in your household. Train together. Enjoy also this opportunity like a moment of fun, of bonding with your family. So everybody armed, everybody knows how to use it, everybody knows safety. That's very important. Let's start with that. So, because everybody in your family, remember, if you are the man, the husband, the family man, probably is going to be the first one they're going to try to put you down. That's the way it works. But then they can rape your children, they can kill your wife, and eventually do the same to your wife too. That's the way it goes. It is not just with the extreme from the Middle East. No, this is about the regular scumbag. That's the way it works. So you train your wife, probably more important than train yourself, because you're going to be the first one to go down. They're going to try to take you off guard. So, and after that, you start to look for like-minded families. You know, people normally, they get together and they find similar club, book, interest, whatever. Guess what? This is my interest. Defending my family, defending this country, defending my freedom. So if you find another family like that, guess what? Start to have time together. Maybe barbecue, maybe whatever. Have some pasta. Start to share time, know each other, and train together. Your next to next door neighbors. That's the way we're going to defend and going to create a defense system for this country. Start locally, in our communities. Now, that's the most important thing, in my opinion. This is the plan. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about my coming book called Combat Handgun for Self-Defense. Finally, it's over. It took me like freaking 1 year. And I got so many things I'm doing. And I have other books coming out. I'll be working 2 more books. But the point is, this is a manual. It's not from my point of view of a professional instructor. No, I'm not an instructor. I'm a professional student. That's what I do. I'm there, out there studying. I go there and practice. I put myself as for me it's a commitment. I'm a committed student. I take this seriously. So anyway, it's a manual. It's going to be for sale on Amazon and different websites. I will start just with the ebook version because I want to give first of all, everybody the opportunity to get this book for an affordable price, like $1.99. More than 120 pages with photos. And there is pretty much all my the curriculum that I learned at Frontside, Nevada, that I am distinguished graduate several times. Every time I go there now, a distinguished graduate the last few years. And of course, also other type of education system, because I'm not there to endorse Frontside. I'm just there as a student. And this book, I wanted to give the opportunity to the listener to at least have the opportunity to learn all the curriculum that normally you will get at the 4 days at the self-defense, handgun class. Normally costs $2,000. And it's a great curriculum. And there is also some other information. It's not just about that. So it's a great opportunity to just get some basics down. I think really well done. I mean, in my opinion, not because I did, because I really think the curriculum is great. Well done. And I'm there. Try really to share it as accurate as possible. Okay, that's my job. So, if you want to know more about it, I want to give you the website. Go to handguntraining.tv. Handguntraining.tv. Join my newsletter. It's free. And I'll let you know as the book gets released. Meanwhile, on the handguntraining.tv, you will see some not edited blogs that they extract from my book. Okay. No, edited means that I just give you the rough version when I was doing it before you even edited. But the concepts are there. Probably my English, Italian is going to make you laugh, but still, you got some good information, at least there. One thing I want to remind you, we are living in a situation that no matter if you're facing potential terrorists coming from overseas, try to threaten your life or your family, or if you're facing the regular scumbag, from next door in our community. The most important weapon we have, it is first of all our mindset. But also, it is our awareness. This is so important because I don't care how fast you are. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how powerful your gun is. If you are not aware of your surrounding, they're going to take you off guard. I know it's difficult to live 24/7 in condition yellow. And by the way, I don't want to go back now to see the different level of our net alertness, You will get the details if you want on my blog that you can find at handguntraining.tv, but that's the reality. We got to live in condition yellow. Otherwise, don't even carry the gun. Because all you're going to do, you're going to probably give that gun, loaded gun to a bad person out there. They're going to get you off guard. And sometimes it's difficult. I understand. Sometimes we are relaxed. And it's like a game, We may have moments that we go in condition white. Try to avoid it. Normally, I'm not doing it anymore, but it's a challenge. So condition white when you are walking from Walmart on the parking lot, you're doing your little text messages, why probably, you're staring at the stars. And meanwhile, you don't notice that you're being followed by a thug that is having a knife on his hands, okay? That's just a typical condition white. Stop texting while you're walking. Look around. Be straight. Be straight. Seriously. There's this expression they say, respect everybody, fear none. That's true. Look everybody into the eyes. Respectful, but don't be afraid. The moment that the enemy understands that you're afraid, you're a target. The moment that the enemy that sees that you're not aware, you're a target. Now, talking about targets, here we go. He's coming with a special guest. This is the man that now is a target of ISIS. And he's living in America, here, just because he exercises the First Amendment. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. I really treasure the opportunity to listen from you, regular people, because after all, everybody's unique. Everybody has a story. And now the struggle for humanity, for freedom, for our republic if you're in America, but for your republic or for your country, wherever you are, because we're all under attack. There is the difference, though. In America, we are facing the same threat that you're facing in Europe. We know very well, I at least try to explain with this first hour of the show, that the problem is created by the same people that were trying to give us the solution. So this Islamic threat, yes, their book spell it out. If you're a good Muslim, that's what you got to do. You got to convert other people with force, and that's the fact. But at the same time, we know that they are behind all this. Who is behind? The governments that try to put us under this new tyranny. Now, what I say, in America, we are under attack too. We have now, this administration is trying to open the gates of our country, not just to illegal aliens coming from Mexico, other countries, no, also from for refugees that among them we know that there are a highest percentage of Muslims with no back screening, and also we know that among them there are also potential terrorists. Now, the problem is we have a chance in this country, at least a right, that in many European countries, or all European countries, they don't have. No, even in Switzerland, it's a right. It's still a privilege. The right to self-defense, the right to defend ourselves, the right to defend this republic, the Second Amendment. Now, don't get me wrong, we are all vulnerable, we are all human beings, but at the same time, we are not completely cows ready for the slaughterhouse. That's the bottom line. I have a guest here. It's one of my Facebook friends. I've really been following him. That unfortunately, this is not a movie. This is not a little story out there on the newspapers. This is real. It's a regular guy. It's a veteran. It's an American that, he likes to exercise his First Amendment, like myself. And he found out himself that he was covered on this ISIS official or semi-official magazine. They got a nice article about him with photo and everything else. So much that also the federal agency, I think the FBI, it will tell us more, they came to him to try to warn him. Say, hey, you're a target. Now, this is real. This is real. Now I want him to explain to you what happened to him, because that could happen to any of us. That's the bottom line. And I don't care what you believe. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you're Christian, a Buddhist. I don't care anything. But if you do not advocate for violence, you should have the right to say whatever you want about everybody you want. If you want to say that the Pope is a jerk, go ahead. I agree with you, by the way. But the point is, we should not be fearful to have our head chopped out or something like that. This is still America, and that's why I believe completely in the Second Amendment, because this is the way we're going to live and die if we have to. Here we go. I have this great guy. It's a U.S. veteran, and I think he's a guy that he can tell us much more about what happened to him. Steve Klein. Steve, are you there?
Luca, thank you very much. Doing great. Great introduction. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's real simple as far as what you're talking about. for the First Amendment, that if you don't have a Second Amendment, you don't have a First Amendment. Thank God, only in the world, America is the only country with a written First Amendment and Second Amendment. You lose one, you lose the other. The pen and the sword, they work together. So God bless you for thinking that way. And, yeah, ISIS has named me and shown my photograph to have me murdered. You can look it up online. It's in their publication. It's called Dabiq 7. Dabiq is D like David, A like Apple, B like boy, I like India, Q like Queen. Dabiq 7. Dabiq is where the ISIS and the Sunni Muslims believe that the end of the world will happen, and they believe it'll happen very soon. And for them, it's their Armageddon, and they think that they're going to defeat all of the non-Muslim enemies in Dabiq. But anyways, we're doing an outreach in Kingman, Arizona that covers the Taliban coming out of the mosque in Kingman, Arizona. We'll be passing out flyers this Friday, and there will be proof, evidence, and facts linking up the Imam of the Kingman Mosque. He's what's called a Deobandi, and the Deobandis, they're the ones that formed the Taliban. In Phoenix,
wow,
you have two of the guys in Phoenix at the mosque who were members of ISIS. They were shot to death a couple of months ago in Texas. They were trying to murder some people. And then in Tucson, you have the first terrorist circle coming into the United States in 1985. In Tucson, you have Al-Qaeda, and they're linked up with the mosque in Tucson, ISIS in Phoenix, Taliban in Kingman. Myself and Dutch Jones will be passing out flyers. I can't tell you where yet. It'll be in Kingman, Arizona this Friday. We've alerted the FBI and the sheriff and police and other people there for police protection. But, yeah, this stuff is real. It's everywhere. I give a lecture on October 20th in San Diego County to about 100 to 200 Republicans about the infiltration of ISIS, Taliban, Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, and the Republican and the Democratic Party. I've been vetted by the FBI and the sheriff. They all agree with me, so it's very interesting what's happening. And, yeah, they're right here in Arizona, and then they're California, they're in Nevada, they're in New Mexico, Texas, everywhere. So, yeah, this is the big battle that'll happen shortly, and you nailed it. What happens in Europe will happen in the United States, but a gigantic difference. We have guns. Do not give up your Second Amendment.
Steve, before we go ahead, this is important. So I would like to connect the dots, You are a very outspoken person about the threat, according to facts, but it's still your opinion. I don't care. And by the way, I agree with you that we are facing, as a free nation, with a system coming from a culture of Islam. Because the point is, it is not any type of conspiracy. People can believe even that, whatever they want. But at the end of the day, if you get the Constitution on the right with the Bill of Rights and you get their book called Quran, they're not compatible. That's a fact. So you've been talking about this, and that's why they gave you the special reviews on their ISIS magazine. That's why you think you got featured?
That was part of it. I was part of the Benghazi deal where the ambassador and the 4 Americans got murdered. I was part of that. So, and we made that movie just to do that, to piss off the Muslims so they would act too soon. It would be, the whole theory was, if somebody had done something with Adolf Hitler to tip off the world that the guy was an evil maniac, that was good too. So it goes back to Benghazi. Plus, I've been going for years to mosques all over California and the United States and taking on these guys face to face. And then I do a TV show every Thursday, and you can see it on my website, which is www.whatdidmo.com. Whatdidmo.com. And I have all the proof, evidence, and facts. Everything I do, I have the proof, evidence, and facts. I was a Marine Corps officer after I was enlisted in Vietnam. I did counter-guerrilla, counterintelligence work in Vietnam, literally surrounded by the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong. That's where I learned intel. Then I became an officer battle planner for the Marine Corps, and that's where I learned the sophisticated art of battle planning. And so I've used all those skills, and I have gone face-to-face. In fact, I met in La Mesa, California, in San Diego County. I met Anwar al-Awlaki, the future leader of Al-Qaeda for the whole world. I met him face-to-face in 2002 in La Mesa with my friends and deputy sheriffs, talked to the guy, knew he was insane, knew he was a murderer, knew he was a thug. And that's where I learned that, yeah, terrorist cells are in California, in Arizona, in Nevada. I met another guy, Musamil Siddiqui, who is leader of the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States. He's good friends with George W. Bush and with Obama both. I met a number of other guys, Ahmad Sakar, S-A-K-R. He introduced the Muslim Brotherhood into University of Arizona, Tucson, back around 1985 or so, and spread the Muslim Brotherhood throughout Arizona, University of Arizona, Arizona State University, UCLA, USC, Cal Berkeley, Georgetown University, George Washington, Weber State, Utah. Yeah, all of these things are going on. It's really funny when the media was blasting me. They surrounded, hundreds of the media surrounded me on September 12, 2012, after the ambassador got murdered in Benghazi. Hillary and Obama were trying to pin that on me. It was funny. And I was telling them, yeah, you got this terror cell here, this terror cell. They were laughing at me, and they thought it was really funny. Then the FBI came to my house that night. I had to meet with them for 3 or 4 days in a row. And they said, yeah, everything you're saying is true, but the media and these other people, basically who hate the Second Amendment and hate the First Amendment, are trying to destroy it. So, yeah, you're right on target.
Wow, one second. I had to reconnect a couple of things here. You were the guy behind the video, the sort of documentary that they try to blame to?
I was a spokesman working with the guy that produced it, Nakula Basili. Nakula, we're still friends. He got thrown in federal prison.
Wow.
The FBI came to me. They were interrogating me. I was right on the verge of getting thrown into prison.
Wow.
It's a long story, but yeah. Wow. And the whole idea, when Nakula approached me, he said, hey, I want to make this video, which is true, about Muhammad.
Uh-huh.
And the reason is, he says, I want to get the Muslims to move too soon, showing their violent nature. And I believe that is why the refugees and all these other guys are coming over here. To me, from I'm looking at it, the Muslim Brotherhood, is really globally in charge of ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, all these different groups. The Muslim Brotherhood is behind that, and I am convinced that they are behind the movement of the refugees in Italy, in Greece, and into Europe. Absolutely.
Yes, and by the way, you're familiar that, Anwar al-Awlaki that you met, he used to work for the Pentagon. I mean, there is official news, also mainstream of news like Fox News, that he was having dinner at the Pentagon. I mean, he's been working with them. And then out of the blue, when the administration didn't want him around anymore, or just maybe they were afraid of him, who knows? I mean, this guy knew a lot. I mean, to think that one of the most powerful, or at least the most dangerous, supposed to be terrorist, is having dinner with the top brass at the Pentagon, that freaks me out a little bit. That maybe we are into a conspiracy, But then out of the blue, without any judge, any trial, any due process, because after all, this guy was an American. After all, the point, whatever you want, now just because it's overseas, it's still in America. They decided to draw him up. And also his son, it was a 16-year-old child, still a young man, they also killed him without any type of due process. So something that we must understand as Americans, when you have this supposed to be terrorist, they will be a terrorist, but he's working and he's on the payroll of the top brass of this administration. He should tell you something. And then out of the blue, after he has a dinner, he's going to have another little type of dinner, with a predator above his ass, okay?
Hellfire missile, $100,000 Hellfire missile shoved down his throat.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So something we must ask ourselves. And now they can use the same type of law that, by the way, even it's unconstitutional, the National Defense Authorization Act, especially the 2012, with this indefinite detention, you can be taken out, any one of us, and yourself, even you are natural born American. I mean, with me, probably they can say I have an accent, they try to probably, paint me like a terrorist from Italy, who knows? But even you guys that you are born in America, that is so important, we understand. We are not protected anymore under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Due process was there for a reason. You shouldn't be killed without a sentence, without anymore having the opportunity, a right to defend yourself, okay? Even more important, the burden is supposed to be on the government. But the point is, This is so serious. This is so serious. I'm glad I called you because there is so much I have no idea about what you were behind.
Thank you.
And I'm so proud of you. You know, I met you in person.
Thank you.
This is important. This is very important. Now, is your life, you know, I mean, this is serious. You know, you got in this magazine that I don't care who's behind, the CIA or not, it's still something that the average idiot out there, the useful idiots serving Islam, he may believe that stuff. So they put you out there. The FBI came to you. Did they give you any type of hint or help or anything, what they can do for you?
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. The best helper is me and my wife. We're heavily armed, Second Amendment. But also, they have a special team, and they monitor the chatter of all the different terrorist groups. And when my name started showing up, my wife's name and my son's name, they started showing up. Then they call me immediately and say, okay, they're talking about you, so that's fine. And remember, I have a lot of experience in combat. Our house is a virtual fortress. We have weapons in every room. And it's eventually, see, the Muslims, they never forget. They're very patient. And eventually, sometime in the next 5 minutes or 25 years, they will hit. It's just the way they operate. So, yeah, you're right. And it's interesting when you're talking about hitting Anwar al-Awlaki, you know, the citizen due process and stuff. It's interesting because the senior leadership of Saudi Arabia are the guys that funded him, but you see, they're billionaires. Al-Awlaki is not. Mm-hmm. And also the family that's in charge of Qatar, which is where all of the global terrorist funding comes to Qatar. That family is also involved in that. Their name is Al-Thani, A-L. Second name is Thani, T like Tom, H like House, A-N-I. They fund ISIS. They fund al-Nusra in Syria, which is basically ISIS. They fund Al Jazeera, and this Al-Thani family is real close to Texas A&M and our colleges, and Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, who started a Texas A&M satellite campus there for the Al-Thanis in Qatar. And they are in control of all of the financing and funding and all these terror cells in the United States.
Wow. This is amazing.
We have all the documentation on that. That's what I'll be presenting October 20th to the Republicans when I'm down there in San Diego.
You know, guys, this is not entertainment. This is real life. And it's very sad to think, you know, for all the listeners out there, we're living in 2015, and we're supposed to be free to express ourselves. We're supposed to be free. One of the few things that the federal government should be doing it as a duty, okay, is to protect our borders and to protect our citizens, especially on U.S. soil, okay? We are here. Instead, I have the feeling that you're living like almost you are on some sort, you know, of this, like you're living in Afghanistan, like you were in some sort of another reality. And this is so sad, you know, to think that now you got to watch your life, you got to watch your family, and because you know that these bastards, anyway, they're cowards, by the way. You know, I had the chance when I was in Rome, and I was even aware I was just a regular guy before even I woke up, before I left Italy. I dealt in person with some of them. They act like a pack of coyotes. Normally, one by one, they're just a bunch of cowards, and they get you in the back. That's the reality of the game. And they're proud of, because their book says, you know, you lie if you have to, cheat if you have to. By the end of the day, they want to do what they want to do, and their goal is domination. You know, I have no problems with any religion. I'm telling you, normally I don't even talk about religion on my show. You know, everybody do whatever they want, and that's fine. There is only one condition. When your religion spells it out that I have to convert to your religion, or I have three options: or I convert and I become a good slave, or I'm going to pay a tax, because that's what's called the dhimma, or I'm going to have my head chopped. I have a problem with that religion. That's why the show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. Doesn't mean that, you know, if we are free, we are free all the way. And we should be free to speak about anything we want. And if I want to say something about your religion, I have that right. If you don't like that I paint a little cartoon, guess what? Go back to Saudi Arabia, wherever you're from. I know that they have Sharia law there, and they chop your heads if you say stuff like I'm saying right now. That's why I don't even want to even think to go in any other places. But the point, they're coming to us. And this is reality, and it's very sad, because we're going to believe pretty soon if something does not get done at the government level, and I don't believe it's going to happen, like in a war zone. Because, you know, seriously, I mean, you look how is your life changed? I mean, I don't think you changed even before this situation, but for sure now after the FBI came to you, you have confirmation. You are a potential target. How do you enjoy your life now?
Yeah, it makes life interesting everywhere we go. Sometimes I'll walk around my house and I don't have my Glock in my hand, and it's funny, my sweet, tiny, little, petite, beautiful wife of 45 years, she's a grandma, she'll walk up with my Glock in her hand and hand it to me, and she'll say, you know, I love you a lot, but this ain't doing me any good if it's not in your hand.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, but she has a pink 5-shot 38 also, so it's pretty cute. But there is good news. I love Arizona. I love what you're doing. You and Dutch and Jolly, you know, Shots Ranch, all those guys doing a great job. From watching, I've been to Texas, Nevada, California. I've been watching, working with the different groups and whatnot that are all legal, ethical, and moral. But I see that Arizona has a leg up. Arizona, the folks who live there are great folks, working on trying to move there in the next 5 years or so. So I'm going there all the time, probably 2-3 weekends out of the month. But it's gentlemen like you coming from Italy, waking up, dumb Americans, opening our eyes, and Arizona seems to really have a good grip on this stuff, and I'm really excited to do the outreach. It's going to be huge this weekend. We're notifying the FBI, Homeland Security, notifying the sheriff, police chief, all the elected officials. We're actually going to fax out to them the copies of all the proof of the Kingman Mosque, the Phoenix Mosque, and the Tucson Mosque linked to Taliban, ISIS, and the Al-Qaeda. And wow. All your elected officials have been very, very receptive. I'm very pleased with the Arizona folks.
Wow, this is amazing. You know, and I tell you, this is, I would like to say, we're talking right now about the hour of guns. And so far we didn't talk about guns really, but this is all connected because the Second Amendment exactly why we can do things like this.
Absolutely.
That's
Keep
the
your
bottom
gun.
line.
Keep your gun.
I mean, even I remember, you know, I used to, when I came to America at the beginning, I spent my first few years in California, and I was very active, you know, as I understood what happened with the illegal immigration problem. I used to do my rallies, my peaceful protests with my fellow Americans to try to, you know, be concerned about this. But I remember the difference, you know. Every time I was in California in front of Home Depot, tried to protest illegal aliens, you know, it was always facing some sort of a violent act from these bastards because they knew that we were disarmed, we were outnumbered, and of course the cops, they always turn on the other side. Guess what? Since I moved to Arizona, every protest we did, or I did by myself, I even need to have a group. I do by myself. I never had any problem. I could do that peacefully. Yep. I exercise my First Amendment. I don't bother anybody, and nobody bothers me. That's the bottom line.
Yes,
and that's
sir.
why it's so important, guys, wherever you are, around the world, and of course in Arizona, we must really, if we have it, we fight to keep it and always to improve it. If you don't have it, please find a way to get that right. Because I understand in Europe, unfortunately, you don't have it. It's a privilege. But somehow, somewhere, when regular citizens understand this concept, even if you come from a different cultural background, like in Europe, you understand this is going to be the most important thing you can do for yourself and your next generation. You got to get part of the government to change the government, at least to get some basic rights. And one of those is, of course, freedom of speech. Let me tell you, Klein, you know, just for the conversation we're having right now, if we were in Europe, you know very well what happened to Brigitte Bardot or to the Italian writer, for example, Oriana Fallaci. We would go at least a civil lawsuit just because we are talking our minds about this religion of peace, with 2 E, as I said. You know, it's a religion of violence, in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, there may be Muslims out there that they are doing their business, but maybe they're not good Muslims. Because if you're a really good Muslim, you got to obey their book, okay? So, like, for example, I'm not a good Catholic. I'm not Catholic at all, even if I was baptized Catholic. But doesn't matter, I'm not Catholic. But the point, if you're a good Muslim, unfortunately, we have some incompatibility. And just because I'm expressing this concept on this radio, I would be, for sure, civilly sued in Europe. And, of course, the government, like in France or many other governments in Italy, they would be probably send me the cops. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Canada.
So,
Canada, too. Canada's already arrested a number of people for giving facts, evidence, and proof. Absolutely. You're absolutely right.
So that's the bottom line. But more important now, you see, it is not just about fearing the government. It's about they come to your door. They come to try to threat you and make you live in fear. We cannot live in fear. We cannot live in sort of the moment that we stop saying what we believe and what we think, we lost. We lost. I mean, it's an illusion. It's a fraud. I cannot call myself an American if I'm afraid to say what I think. I would, the problem that I don't have even anymore my Italian passport. I burned them, like in 2005. So I'm stuck, you know. I gotta stay here. So.
That's cute.
Klein, I want to give you the last chance. The last chance. You know, you have more chances, but the time is getting short.
No
whatever you want to say, I give you.
Great, man.
Give me one more time the website or where people can reach you out, please.
Yeah, you can go. I'm on Facebook. It's called, my Facebook page is Abolish Islam, ABOLISH Islam, Abolish Islam. I get about 5,000 hits a day.
Wow.
And my website, which is pretty new, my website is www.whatdidmo.com, and you can see my TV shows on there. I got 6 or 7 TV shows on there. It's going great because of people like you who are bona fide true Americans believing in the Second and the First Amendment. My grandmother, Durando, she's from Milan, Italy. She's passed away, but, you know, she just loved America, and it's folks like you who truly make America what America is. So I'm honored to be on your show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. It's my pleasure, my honor. Guys, don't go away, because talking about controversial and something that we're going to break the law again. Now I'm going to break the law so bad that there is a law in France that just because you say something about the Holocaust, you can go to jail. And this is not me speaking. I have a guest. I have a regular guy from Kentucky that is going to express himself. And I'm not here to say he's right or he's wrong. No, I'm just saying that he has the right to say whatever he wants. The only condition we say, we do not advocate violence. At that point, if you meet that condition, we have freedom of speech, especially on this radio station and on this channel and with this show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. And that's why I want to say we should never be afraid to speak up our mind, and we are living in America. Till then, we will be America. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and who love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Okay, guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. What is the most important thing really we still have in this country, America? Even with all the problems, even with all, the different violations of our rights and destruction of our bill of rights, one thing we still have. We have talk radio show, especially like this one, that we can go on the air and talk about everything. This is for me like gold, okay? This is something I treasure more than my life, seriously. And the purpose of this show, it is not to be me here by myself and ranting and being right on things and say you're a bunch of idiots if you don't believe me. No. I want to be here to challenge myself, to hopefully to find out sometimes, I was wrong, and I hope so, because, I like to learn. Now, more important, I like to exercise freedom of speech on this show. Sometimes, I push a little bit. I understand. I call Obama a piece of garbage, and the Italian president, I call him names. But remember something. My rights are like muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them. That's the bottom line. And I remind you that in many parts of the world, and I can tell you exactly from my perspective from Italy, if I just offend the Italian president, I can spend 5 years in jail. And this is not a theory, it's fact, okay? If I go, let's say, talk about things like, like in France, you don't believe in the official theory that there was, let's say, the genocide of the Jew people, you go to jail. If you don't believe about the genocides of another race, like, for example, I forgot the name, anyway, I forgot right now. Anyway, if you don't believe what the government tell you to believe, you can go to jail. And I'm not talking about Zionism, By the way, I'm half Jew, and the owner of the station, I know, is a full-blood Jew, okay? And this is exactly the point. We're supposed to be able to talk on this show about everything. And if people don't agree with me, or we have a little bit of difference of opinions, I invite you. I want you. And I really hope this shows that we can be civil and we can talk about anything we want. And I tell you, I must give credit to the station, KTOX, and to the owner, to the former owner, and to the new owner, that I always been given complete control in freedom of speech. And this is something I understand that this is not happens on every commercial station. So right now, let's push the limits of this freedom of speech. Let's do something that normally in Europe I would be shut down immediately, and probably the guest that I have on my show will probably at least a lawsuit, from some organization, and maybe spend 6 months in jail, like happened to a publisher in Turin, just because he published a book. It's called The Protocols of Zion, okay? A book that, you can believe it or not, that does not the problem. It's a book. But in Italy, they don't have freedom of speech. So just because this publisher republished the Italian version of the Protocol of Zion, he now was sentenced by the Italian government, by the judicial system, to spend 6 months in jail and pay a bunch of money to the local synagogue or whatever in Turin. Anyway, let me just bring this great guest. I had him also in the past, and his name is Justin from Kentucky. Justin, are you there?
Hi, Luca. How are you doing?
Pretty good, man.
You're doing good.
Good. Let's, we talked in the past with you about the purpose of the Southern flag and how this propaganda from the government, they try to block our freedom of speech and everything else. Now, today we have a different topic. I know you're pretty strong on the concept of Zionism. And I would like that you introduce yourself about this concept, why you think, what is Zionism, first of all? Not everybody knows about it. And what exactly is your theory? I don't even want to call it conspiracy. You have your own theory, your own idea about who controls this global elite and all the bad things they're doing to us as humanity. I'll let you talk, and then I will give you my input. Go ahead.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Well, officially, Zionism was just simply the belief that the Jews deserved a homeland, specifically from the Euphrates River, according to Theodor Herzl, the official founder of Zionist movement. Basically all the area of a good deal of Syria, all of Lebanon, all of Palestine, a good part of Iraq, all of those countries in that area, Lebanon, the entire Lebanon, they believed should be incorporated into the state of Israel, which would be an ethnically Jewish state. Which, considering the political views of most Jewish intellectuals, this goes against that. And what do I mean by that? They don't want anybody else to be able to have such an ethnically based state, specifically white countries like Europe, Italy, France, Hungary, etc. And they go out of their way to prevent this. Why? Why do they do this? Well, as Dr. Kevin MacDonald has pointed out in several books that he's written and scholarly papers on the issue, it's an issue of evolutionary survival for them. They believe that a multicultural state is safer for them. Yet in their own state, they do not practice the same policy towards others. So that is really what Zionism is, in my view. The Jewish quest, and when I say Jewish, I don't just mean religious Jews, because being a Jew is much more than just a religion. Mm-hmm. A good deal of them are secular and tend to be left-leaning. I believe it's just a Jewish quest for domination of the world's resources. as the world gets smaller, the population gets bigger. There's just this tension amongst different population groups. And the Jews have placed themselves in a place to dominate. And they use American military might and financial might to carry out this goal, specifically. And before that, 1948, most of these Arab nations had no issues whatsoever with the United States. We became the great Satan only after 1948. Why? Because of their domination of our government. And this is not a very kosher topic in America. And as you pointed out, in many European countries, you can go to jail for simply denying it. Now, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Luca?
go ahead. Go ahead, please.
What other historical fact, quote unquote, in the history of mankind was there laws put in place to protect it? I can't think of any other historical happening, quote unquote.
Well, the Armenian, in France, I think they passed a law that if you deny the Armenian genocide, you can go to jail, by the way.
I'm actually glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because I was specifically going to mention this.
Yes.
They tried to do that with the Armenian genocide.
Yeah.
They ruled that denial of the Holocaust was illegal. Somebody tried to expand the law to cover the Armenian genocide, which I do believe actually happened. It's well documented.
Yes.
By the Ottoman Turks. Guess what? Why it was shot down? Because it would be a violation of freedom of speech.
Oh my gosh! I didn't know that. I'm glad I brought you up because this is important. First of all, it's wrong. Period. I don't care which religious group. You're supposed to have your opinion based on your facts, on your mind. If you want to believe that the genocide of the Jewish people didn't happen the way they tell you, it's your right to believe whatever you want. Nobody's supposed to go to jail, for God's sake, okay? That's a fact. And, of course, the fact that they were trying to do with Armenian, even that was wrong, in my opinion. Even I know it's true. I mean, for whatever I can study, document myself. But this is the scary thing, when governments start to say what you can think or what you can say, that's, for me, it's something that we must fight in every way. That's why I wanted to bring you here. Honestly, I don't even care what you're saying about, don't get me wrong, I care what you're saying. I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to document myself. But, even if you were from the most crazy idea you had, I wanted to bring you here just to make a point. That this is still America, and we have the right to speak about everything we want. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. That's something never is going to happen in a big network or the big control media because, they like to shut you down immediately. They would like to, first of all, scream at you, call you crazy or whatever. But the point is we're supposed to have our own brain, our own logic, and exercise our own opinions. And by the way, I also, you sound like an articulate guy. You've been studying stuff. So I don't think you're just somebody coming out of the blue and you start to repeat, bumper stickers. You got your own opinion based on your facts that you study. How can we prove really that I still want to let you go, of course, that the Zionist movement, not every Jew, after all, is behind this. I have a lot of friends that are Jews, and honestly, they are not part of this elite, and they also don't like to think that they need to, let's say, they're in America, they support America first, they're Americans, and for them, Judaism is a religion. It is not about, and if they want to do a donation to the State of Israel, they do it out of their pocket. They do not like, for example, the fact this government extortion tax. So tell me a little bit why you think most of the Jews are behind this.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. As I mentioned, being a Jew, some of them are primarily a religious identity, which also goes into their ethnicity, their ethnic identity. Many of them have no particular religious beliefs. But they are strongly ethnically Jewish. If you read the Talmud, do you know that in Judaism, they have two different laws. They have the oral law, the Talmud, and then they have what they call the written law, which is what in Christian society we know as the Old Testament.
Okay.
Or the Jews call the Tanakh. They basically consider, since rabbinical times, the Talmud to be more... what's the word I'm looking for? It has more strength, more authority than the written law, the Bible, as we know it. And in this book, there's numerous references to non-Jews, how we're cattle, how it pleases Yahweh, or Hashem, as they say. It pleases Hashem to cheat us in business deals. The difference, and this is all readily verifiable. In the Gittin, which is one of the subsections of the Mishnah, if I remember correctly, it even refers to Jesus and says that he's boiling in human feces.
Wow. Well, anyway.
There's a really good book called Jesus in the Talmud. It's actually written by a Jewish professor who's very ethnically, he identifies as a Jew, he's writing it as a Jew, and he mentions, yes, Jesus was asking for it, and he got what he deserved. He brags about the murder of Jesus. So this is what really confuses me, how in America specifically, these evangelicals, Baptist types, they love Israel so much. John Hagee is a notorious example. Why do they support this religious viewpoint that goes against everything that Jesus says in the Bible? And I'm not trying to preach to you or nothing.
I understand.
It makes no sense from a cultural level.
Listen.
People who claim to follow the Bible support this foreign tribal grouping that is not working for their best interest.
I understand. I know I had in the past years Pastor Steven Anderson. I'm sure you're familiar with him. You know Pastor Steven Anderson? Yeah. You know,
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he has a very, let's put it this way, not apologetic opinion about what you're talking about. And I had him in the past on the show. And even there are some things I may disagree. I like to have him because I like to have different opinions on this show. And I would like to send a message, especially for people that probably they're freaking out. They're driving their car. I know there is one guy is called Liberal Jew. He was almost ready to drive to the station, was ready almost to wanting to beat me up and stuff like that. Chill out. This is America. I'm not even agree honestly with everything, Mike Gress is saying, but I think he has the right to say it. He didn't advocate for any violence, and that's the bottom line. We're supposed to have a normal conversation, civil, even trying to find out, according to logic. He's bringing some facts, some logic. For example, I invite everybody, first of all, to buy the books that he's talking about. I bought the Protocol of Zion. Now, the Protocols of Zion, many people say it's not a real book. It was made up. I don't know the whole story, but I read it, and I was able to buy it in America, and I'm happy about that. I know in Europe, just because I own the Protocols of Zion, I can be arrested. Think about it. I mean, in my library, I have everything from Mao Zedong, that I despise, but it's there, with Antonio Gramsci, another communist, and I despise him, but it's there, to Hitler, Mein Kampf, that I despise him, but it's there. And I have, of course, also the Protocols of Zion. I have every book. And that's what should be here in America. We should be able to talk and read
like me.
Everything, not like only what the government allows you. And this is why, as I said, for me at this point, this interaction we have, it is, of course, to let you express yourself. People can understand or not what you're trying to say. I don't care. The point is we are still allowed and free to say these things on the air right now in America. And today is 2015, and we are in October, and I think this is important because we know very well things the way they're going, like they did what they did with the flag, with the Southern flag, through politically correctness, brainwashing, ready to shut down the First Amendment on a basic historical heritage flag. They were able to shut it down overnight. They can shut down any other type of free speech if we don't stand up and start to exercise it and push it. So that's why my real purpose to bring you here. If somebody doesn't like it, I don't care. Turn it off. Turn the radio off. Put some Fox News and have a Kool-Aid and drink it, okay? That's all I can say. But I agree with you. Now, let me tell you my little opinion about this, okay? I'm not saying that everything you're saying is wrong at all. You got some good facts. There is, let's put it this way. There is a group of people that they are in positions, like the bankers, most of the international bankers, happen to, that they are in this, sort of, I don't even call it religion because they don't believe in religion. They don't really, they are, as you said, they're seculars, but they have this heritage of Zionism. Now, my point is only one, though. Not every Jew that I really know, and the average Jew out there that is spread around the world, it is not part of this conspiracy. I mean, there are a lot of people that they have this as a religious background. They exercise it. By the end of the day, they do their life. And honestly, they are victims too of this global government. Some of them, of course, they think that they are part of this elite, and they try to almost, be... I don't know, like almost the groupies, I mean, think about it. For example, Israel, okay? I say there is no way in our founding fathers document, in our Constitution, a Bill of Rights, that any of us Americans should be forced to pay, not just for Israel, but for any other nation out there, especially when we are broke, especially when we have to go in more debt with the private Federal Reserve, or have to go to China to max up our credit card, and then give this money that we are borrowing, give it to another country like Israel. How much billions are we giving this year to Israel? Too many. Even $1 would be too much. And same story with Palestine, and same story with everybody out there. Let them go and beg for money themselves. That's my attitude. Then, you, if you're a Jew, or if you're a Christian who would like the idea to support Israel, that's your freedom. It's called open your damn checkbook and be a grown-up man or woman, and don't hide behind the tax dollar. That's my humble opinion. But I have no problem with any Jew out there till they keep their religion as a religion, but they don't want to infiltrate our government and try to create this sort of proxy government, because the reality is one, something that people don't want to talk, but it's a fact. If you are in Congress, and, all you got to do is think about the magic word, AIPAC. Do you know anything about AIPAC, Justin?
Oh, most definitely. They're the largest lobbyist organization in the country, and the most powerful.
Yeah. I mean, AIPAC, it's not just a lobby, it's a lobby for Israel, correct?
Correct. And they also have journalistic functions.
Yeah.
You may not have known this.
Go ahead.
They actually, ironically, have better coverage of what's going on in Israel in the Israeli press than they do in the American press.
Wow. So, and my point
They're actually allowed to criticize their own government over there.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to in our press.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah. And, and that's sad because, when you have a lobby who controls our government, and this is not more the government of the American people, but it's the government of another country that's controlling it. I mean, what happens here that the U.S. Congress is giving billions of dollars to Israel, and the Israel, through AIPAC, is giving it back to the corrupted politicians that they keep somehow selling us out. I mean, this is wrong, And I am not against Jews. As I said, half of my family is Jew. I have Jew blood in me, okay? So, of course, I'm a Christian, but it doesn't matter. I respect the DNA of my origins, and that's great. But at the same time, I'm an American, and I'm not going to sell out just because somebody is trying to brainwash me, tell me that we must be forced to give our blood, our money to any other country, Israel included. So if you don't like my statement, that's fine. As I said, I couldn't care less. But if what really make me sad, all this was supposed to be conservative, that they are out there criticizing Obama redistribution of wealth, and that's wrong, of course. This is complete Marxism. But at the same time, they're okay that we supposed, with the coercion of our government, extort tax dollar to redistribute in numbers of billions of dollars to countries around the world like Israel. That's wrong. That's global socialism. At this point, if you really want to do the redistribution of wealth, let's use how many billions of dollars we give to Israel this year. Do you remember? I think they want.
I've heard different figures. I believe it's upwards in the $80 billion range.
I mean, it's easy to find out.
Their students through college.
I mean,
meanwhile, Americans are wallowing in student loan debt.
I tell you right now, billions to Israel, okay? I mean, there is always a new number. They always want more. But this is not just Israel. I don't care if it's Egypt, how many billions we gave to Pakistan. I mean, it's all wrong. It's all wrong, guys. We have our American people, they're struggling. And our children, they're going to be paying thousands of dollars of debt even before they're born. How can we do this? This is complete madness, okay? So the U.S. gives a minimum of $3 billion of Israel at the beginning of each fiscal year. But Congress has made a commitment to give $30 billion to Israel over the 10-year period. And these are old numbers. They're getting more and more. The point is, Israel, I think, they got enough billions from us. They got enough nukes. They got enough weapons. They can take care of themselves. Let them, sort it out. I'm sure they can take care of it. And it's time to stop to paying for any nation out there, in my opinion. To that, that's the bottom line. I don't care. It's not just Israel. It's every nation. I don't care if it's Pakistan. I don't care if it's Italy. Let them sort it out. We got enough problems here. That's the bottom line. So I want to give you one more time, the floor. So just to irritate some idiot out there. Go ahead.
Yes. And it all evolves around one central thing. Okay.
Okay.
How did Israel come into existence? How did they gain so much authority in our country? And do I think that the average Jew in the street knows, what's going on? Probably not. Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't. the fact is that the overwhelming majority of Jews support what Israel's doing. If you criticize them at all, they think it's going to lead to the gas chambers. And that's what the central point is that I'm referring to. I call it the big lie. It all evolves around that. If you deconstruct that, the whole house of cards crumbles. And I didn't just wake up one day and say, I don't think I like Jews. This guy cut me off in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the process. And for my last little time here, I would just like to outline, for personally, if I may, my process real quick.
Okay.
I started studying, like you, all these issues that are going on, and every single one of them led back to Jewish intellectuals or Jewish bakers. You mentioned the conservatives or the neoconservatives earlier, who are really socialists. That was all founded by Jewish professors connected to Leo Strauss in the University of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the neoconservative movement goes back to. Every one of these little chains of thought goes back to somebody who's Jewish. And
one thing I tell you is true. I mean, this is a fact, and I'm not trying to say it's the final evidence, but most of the international bankers that they are behind the central banks of the world, yes, they have that heritage, but they're not Jews in the sense of religion. They couldn't care less about the religion. They're just there as an ethnic, probably, DNA group. You know what I mean? Am I right or not on that one?
Well, they do a lot of what they do as Jews, even though they're not. Do they go to synagogue? Probably not.
They don't care. They don't care.
Israel was practically built by the Rothschilds. The Supreme Court complex there, totally financed by the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
And they propped the state up long before America came into the picture to prop it up. But I have one question for you, and that's all I'll say on the matter.
Go ahead, please.
These Germans, who were such efficient killing machines, right? That's what we were taught, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The Germans, they were all about efficiency, everything had to be organized and such. Why would they waste oil and resources to ship people thousands of miles outside of Germany just to kill them?
You know what? The point is, maybe they didn't want to create all that in their own country. Maybe they have areas like in the occupied territories. There were camps in Germany too, by the way. I mean, there was not just camps, just in
all the so-called death camps. Every one of them was outside of Germany. It's like Poland and places like that.
Poland from Germany is not that far, by the way. I mean, it's not like exactly we're talking about going through across the globe. Maybe they don't want to do this in front of their people. I mean, honestly, as I said, there is something that I believe. The numbers may be different. When I talked to Pastor Anderson, I did some research. Their number may be different. Let's not forget one thing, guys. This is nothing to do now with the Jews. It's a fact. History is written by the winners. So whatever you read in the history book, because somebody wrote it normally is the winner, okay? So that's a fact. So we must always be having a critic mind, questioning everything, not just because they tell you that that's in the history book means it's real. I mean, look at now, you grow up in this generation, you go to school, and in the history book they say that 19 people with a turban and the box cutter, they did 9/11. We know it's a pile of crap. Okay, we know that this is a scam. So yes. I don't believe anything. I always question everything. Doesn't mean that what you're saying is 100% right, but I still question even the official version. That's a fact. But we should be able free to question everything. That's
why I respect you.
And that's the bottom line of the show. This is the bottom line. We are here, and that's why I say, guys, I want you more people. Who disagree? I mean, I had here on the show communists, okay, declared communist, and I don't agree at all with them. But you know what? You're polite. Even, of course, when you're a communist, for me, you're already an enemy because you're pretty much saying that you want to use the coercion of the government to steal from me. So, let me put it this way. I respect you because we're on the air, but on the street, you're my enemy because you're not just a difference of opinion. Difference of opinion say, I like women, you like men. Great. No, you like men and you want to force me to pay for your condoms. That's what it means to be a communist.
For your sex change operation.
Or whatever, exactly. So we have a little problem here. But regardless, in this situation, we have opinions, and that's a beautiful thing we articulate. So give me 3 books you would suggest to read to document your statements, because I like always to verify what you're saying. For example, give me 3 books that people should read to say, okay, Justin is not full of crap. He got something going on here. What books should we read?
Well, first, as you've mentioned, the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, otherwise known as the Protocols of Zion, I highly recommend that. You can obtain it for free online, both PDF and text versions. I recommend that one highly. One of the best books that I've come across just really lays everything out. It has sources, and it covers every relevant aspect of the topic. Is The Holocaust Hoax Exposed, which is by Victor Thorne.
Okay.
It's in print. It's readily available, and I highly recommend that. And another work that is available, it's not so much a book per se, it's a report by Fred Leuchter from 1988, where he actually went out to Auschwitz, and I believe he may have went to a couple other locations, and did scientific tests on the so-called gas chambers. This right here, these works here, will really shake the foundations of what we've been taught in public schools our entire life to be the truth.
Say again, please spell the name, because I'm going to buy that. Say again the name, please.
Leuchter, Leuchter, and his name is Fred Leuchter. He actually used to construct electric chairs and that kind of stuff for different states in this country.
Wow. Listen, this is very important. As I say, I'm not here to say, Justin, he got the truth out there, but he got his opinion. That's for sure. He's entitled to his opinion.
We'll look at it and investigate, and that's all I'm asking you.
Exactly, and that's all I'm asking too. Let's have a good debate about everything, and we should be free and proud to talk about everything. And I'll buy the books. I have a huge library, at least big enough for me. All my money go in guns and books, pretty much, beside the wine part. So I really enjoy to buy books, and I'm going to shop for this book ASAP. And I tell you guys, I realize that if you're stuck in Europe or many other parts of the world, you may not even buy these books. And I feel sorry for you, because this is not the way a free human being should be able to live, We should be able to learn and challenge everything.
Justin, in most of Europe, these books, they will throw you in prison. The worst case I've seen is Hungary, where they not only put you in prison for up to 3 years, but they'll force you to visit a Holocaust museum afterwards for summary sensitivity training, which I will see you there in sensitivity training. I'm pretty sure we've ruffled some feathers with this conversation, which I appreciate.
Wow. Listen, very good. And I really appreciate you guys, Justin, and I would like to say everybody out there who wants to challenge and rebuke what Justin said, I want you on the show. You're more than welcome to come. You know how to do it. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com. Send me an email. There are no censorship here. You can say whatever you want. Let's just be polite. Let's be civil, FCC compliance. And this is the beauty to have freedom of speech in America. And I'll fight for that till I can. Okay? Thank you, Justin. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Don't go away. We got more news and more guests coming.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid,
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid,
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid,
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, guys. This is the final part of today's show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. We've been talking so far about, first of all, what type of misery we are living through, all these different attacks and fears, more than fears, dangers, fear is normal. I think fear, it's because there is no fear without courage, or there is no courage without fear. So that's not the point. The point that now, in this hour of love, I like to talk also about solutions. Be positive about we can take it back. Now, what is the most important thing we have in your life? Besides freedom, of course. Health. Without health, probably you don't even have freedom. Because you're going to get so sick. Think when you have like a toothache. You don't even want to talk about politics and rights and stuff. You want to just lay down on that bed in misery. Please leave me alone. And that's what's happening right now. Unfortunately, I don't want to go back now. Why? But the point is, we are becoming sicker and sicker. Yeah, you can live longer, but you live longer like pet shop, like some sort of a guinea pig by all these medications. 1 year ago, a friend of mine, Annette from Snowflake, shared with me this opportunity that I've been taking all the last more than 12 months. That was the 4th of July of 2014. And not only I took an opportunity for myself to be better, to feel better, but also to try to find other ways to be economic independent. And I love it. I have now more than 1 year into this one, and I really think that this is one of the best things I found since I came to America. And it's called ProTandem. And let me tell you, yes, I have a very direct interest into this. Normally I say when there is a sponsor. No, this is not even a sponsor. This is something, first of all, I want to share as an opportunity with you listeners to find if this can work for you, the incredible advantages you can have for your health and also for your economic finances. Now, I will bring with me a guest that I already had on my show a few months ago. I met her through the show. That's why I'm so thankful through the show to meet the best people out there, people that, probably I couldn't meet in the regular day life. And she's a great lady, and we have a lot of things in common. She likes guns. Also, she likes books. She has also a book just now on Amazon. And she has a very interesting life. And she was my guest during the second hour a few weeks ago. Then by accident, or not really accident, she tried out, I suggest to try it out, a bottle of ProTandem. And guess what? I'm not going to ruin the surprise. She's going to tell you yourself exactly what happened to her, what's happening to her, and also a little update with her life. Her name is Miroslava from Panama City, Florida. Miroslava, are you there?
Hey, Gianluca, how are you?
Very good. First of all, I wanted to give you the complete presentation. Miroslava-Espinoza, correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. So I got it down right. Now, Miroslava, we talked last time about your story, about your guns, your signature rifle. Of course, we will talk more now because your signature rifle, it's out there and your book is out there. But mostly I want
that's correct. Yeah.
And before we go there, we will go there in the next 20 minutes. I wanted to, first of all, share the little story briefly. You try ProTandem. You got a bottle that you got at the time after our interview. And you tell me your story. Share your story. Why? What's happened with you? What happened with you?
Yeah, I will. I'm going to. I'm a model. I'm a bodybuilder. I'm a certified personal trainer. And I do take a lot of products and supplements, lately. I've been taking them all. So, a couple months ago, when I did the interview with you, a few weeks later, I have this bottle on my mailbox, which I was very, very thankful for that. And I start taking it. I look at it. I read about it. I did my research, and I decided to try it, and let's give it a try. Let's see if it works or not, if there's another supplement out there. So I did it. I started taking it. Within a couple of days, 3 days most, I start feeling different. I have a new sense, like a loss of energy. I felt it was something that I can explain. I will just say that I felt different. I don't know if it was my energy level because I was being so tired, so I was dragging, my legs. I couldn't do anything. Besides, my energy level went up, all of that. I felt so different. I feel like I was back in my 20s. I would say so. So I keep taking it, and 3 weeks after I start, taking it, let me back up. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
I've been diagnosed with PTSD,
wow.
which is post-traumatic disorder before, So I was on medication for that.
Wow.
I was taking depression medication. I was taking anxiety medications. I was taking nightmares medication because I couldn't sleep. I have nightmares, know.
Wow.
So that's because of all these tragedies that happened to me. So I was on all this type of medication for my health, according to the doctors, right? So after I start, 3 weeks into this product, ProTandem, I decided to stop taking all those medications that the doctor prescribed to me.
Wow.
And I gradually stopped. I didn't went cold turkey, but I just gradually, stopped one day, I stopped one, and the next day I stopped the other one, and like this. It was just like a subtle change, and gradually I wean myself out of that. And I didn't feel nothing, no side effects. I didn't feel depressed. I didn't went into suicidal mood, nothing. I felt like I had never been taken then. Like I was nothing. It was completely like miracle, I would say.
Wow.
Right now, this is my second month, and I haven't go back to my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, if he's listening, hey, doc, you know, I don't want to go back to you. I can't, you know. I'm not taking any medications anymore. Absolutely, I'm not, you know, for my depression, for my PTSD, anything. I'm not having any nightmares. I'm not having any anxiety or any depressions, nothing. I feel good. I feel like I'm on my 20s, my early 20s.
Wow. Let me stop you 1 second. This is amazing. You know, honestly, I knew that the results that you told me at the beginning when for the energy level, especially as a sport person, you know, like a bodybuilder, but I didn't know about the post-traumatic stress. I didn't know about the depression. So this is amazing because you're not the only one. I heard other stories that I've been documenting and as a testimonials because I share this product with friends and people that I don't even know the last 12 months. And there is a lot of cases, people with depression, of cases of sort of, you know, like you're saying, post-traumatic stress. And they have incredible results. I know a guy that was in in Afghanistan for one tour, and he came back, was pretty beat up, a veteran, and he's on Protandim, and he's feeling much, much better. It's great. One thing I want to say to the public, first of all, we are not here to give any medical advices to anybody here. We are sharing to a product that, more important, I want you to know, this is not FDA approved for a reason. Because if it was FDA approved, this would be a medication that you are not free anymore to take for an affordable price, but you need to go through the doctor, the mafia, and at that point you would pay probably 10 times, 100 times more. This is called as a supplement. But let me tell you exactly to the list and what is Protandim, because people think, okay, it must be some vitamins. No, it is not a vitamin. Or must be some antioxidant. No, it is not antioxidant. It is an activator that works at cellular level. And this company behind, it is not just some company coming out of the box or come out of TV, you know, seen on TV. No, this is a real company, publicly traded at NASDAQ, LifeVantage. Okay? So you can go there, LifeVantage, see everything. How many years they've been in business with the CEO, how many millions they invested. They invested more than $40 million in this little magic pill. That is not magic, it's science. What it does, and this is, you know, coming from an Italian guy that has no any degree in medical science, it's just what I understand. What it does, is say to your cells, to your genes, to start to, through enzymes, to start to create and slow down your oxidative stress. That means your aging. And it's documented. There is a video of ABC that is so powerful. That's normally what I share to friends. ABC special reports shows that in just 2 weeks, taking Protandim, your aging slows down at least by 45%. That's a fact. Now, I share this product with you, and I'm glad that you took the opportunity. And that for me it was like almost a gift to hear stories like yours that come back with these results. I feel like I've done something good. And I hope now, you know, beside the health aspect, what we're doing here, we're also helping each other to be economic independent. I tell you what, when I met the person that introduced me to Protandim, I was shocked. Because I met this guy in this part of Arizona that used to be a plumber just 4 years ago. Okay, his name is Skinner. It's a famous plumbing area in Snowflake, Arizona. Anyway, this guy used to be a plumber out of business almost. And now he makes 20 grand a month. Okay, in 4 years in this business. I don't know any other business out there without education, without any type of real investment, not spending thousands of dollars in investment because of a product like that can give you the opportunity. So let's go back to us, Miroslava-Espinoza. You try the product works for you. You say, wow, Luca, I want to be part of this. And I say, you know what, I'm a distributor, Miroslava. If you want, I can show you how to become a distributor. You flew all the way from...
That's correct, yes. That's correct. I flew, and I took the opportunity, and I flew to see you guys, to meet you with your other business partners, and everything got explained to me, and I am now a distributor.
Excellent.
I'm sure I became a distributor.
You're an independent distributor. I give you so much, so much respect. You flew all the way. I know you were in Texas for your signature rifle, but still, you took an extra trip to come all the way to Arizona to meet my upper level, the guy that, has been doing before me. His name is Rick Shamway. He's a great guy. He's a guy now, he's a Pro 7. And guess what? He's making, 15 grand a month out of this business, sharing this product with people that they are helping, he's helping people. And you became a distributor that day. That was so beautiful, so powerful. And now you're an independent distributor. And guess what? Also, I know you have a website where people can see your experience, can listen to your experience, and more important, can know more about the product, because there are a lot of questions, and you gave a lot of answers in this website. And let me give you the website. Or you want to please give the website.
Yes, it's going to be launched pretty soon. I'm still working on it, but it's mirowellness.com.
Mm-hmm.
And in there you can see everything about this product. This is an amazing product. And check me out and hear my testimony.
Yes, and that's the point, I said, guys, doing this, not only, first of all, you help yourself. What if this product, Protandem, works for you? I mean, we're not asking to invest like a second mortgage on your home. Talking about $1.45 for pill. It's one pill a day, less than $1.50. The less than the price of a little soda pop or whatever garbage normally people drinks out there. I don't drink those, but regardless, for 30 days, just for 30 days, try it out. What if that works for you? That really, I tell you, I see stories that people change their life. I see people with different problems, from fibromyalgia to depression to fatigue to arthritis. I mean, I tell you, I'm not, I was pretty healthy. I don't have any medical conditions, but I tell you, I'm 47 and I can do now my mile without training. I don't work out. I'm not really, I wish I would work out. I don't have the time. But I can do now a mile cold turkey with my boots and my handgun in less than 7 minutes and 8 seconds. That was my best time. Probably, even when I was in my 20s, I used to do that. So I feel like,
awesome.
Really, I have a YouTube, good. By the way. I have a YouTube that I did a few months ago. That was 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Last week, I did 7 minutes, 8 seconds. And I was shocked. I didn't die.
Better.
Yeah, I'm getting better.
Yeah.
And I do take only one thing. Not even vitamins. I take Protandem once a day. Sometimes I cheat. I take twice a day. I'm kind of a big guy, 220 pounds or so I like to double up. But that's another story. So all I say, guys, help out this show, because let me tell you how it works. I'm not just telling you to invest yourself, try it out, but doing so, you also support the show. Hey, people say, how does it happen? Yes, you got to go to miroWellness.com. Okay, MIRO wellness.com. This is the official website of Miroslava. But guess what? She's a distributor, and she works with me. Even if she's an independent distributor, I sign her up. And that's the beautiful thing of this network marketing. Whenever she's successful, I am successful too. And my job is to make her more successful. So I want you to go and shop directly through Miroslava. I'm not even telling you, go to my website and buy from me. No, buy that bottle from Miroslava. I really appreciate it. And try it out, 30 days. And then I say, you know what? Let us know your feedback. What if this works for you like it's working for many other people? Let us know. Because you have two options then. You can just keep taking the product. That's great. But also you can become part of this new opportunity to become economic independent. And I've been doing many business since I came to this country. I tell you, this is for me the best model. Without investing thousands of dollars and having inventory, and you have an organization that the system that is the best. And people, I laugh at people when they say, oh, this must be the pyramid. Guess what? If you work for a boss, if you work at McDonald's, if you work at your office, if you work at the car dealer, you are the bottom of the pyramid. And there is no way you're going to go on top unless you invest millions of dollars. How much costs you a franchise of some stupid fast food? Probably at least $1 million. Do you have that? No. So keep flipping burger. You're at the bottom of the pyramid. In this way, with this product that is unique, you can have a chance in 3 years or less to become the top of the pyramid, making 20, 30 grand a month. That is not even the money. It's how you make him and be free. You don't work for a boss. And you know what I say? This is all connected to the fight for freedom. The globalists, this government want us broke and medically dependent. Instead, the answer is we want to be economically free and be independent. Now, back to the rifle, or back to your book. Come on, tell us about your rifle and your book.
Let's go back to my book. My book was published 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on Amazon.com. The title is The Little Amazonian by Miroslava-Espinoza.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys got to order because it's in paperback and it's an amazing inspirational story. I guess I'm a little biased though. I guess it's about me.
And by the way, I read your book. Can I say something? I read your book. You know, you gave me the honor to read the preview before it even was published. And you know what, guys? I tell you something. It's not even just about Miroslav. It's about any one of us that we must remember how much potential we have as a human being to thrive, no matter the adversity of life, no matter if you're born in a country like, you know, Panama, as much as beautiful. When you're born in a jungle, you don't have access to the opportunity you may have in a more advanced society. You have still the opportunity to advance yourself and fight back and thrive. Like the story of your life, I think it's amazing. You know, the fact that you educated yourself, you improve always. That's why I really think it's the most important part of this book, you know. But I'm very amazed that, you know, you made it, you know.
Yeah, the book is not about me. It's more about, I wanted to inspire, I wrote the book just to inspire other women, especially females from the third world countries, you know, to be the best they can be, to stop being victims, be survivors, go follow your dreams, you know. You can do this. Doesn't matter what challenges, you know, are out there, you know, you can do this. If you got that mindset, you know, it's all about that warrior mindset that I keep telling my families.
Yes.
I say you have to have that warrior, you know, to fight, to survive, everything, you know. You can do this. You can do it. You can do it. Look at me. I mean, I was nobody, nothing. I was just a jungle girl. And now I'm here. I have a master's degree. I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a social case worker. I'm an author. I am a bodybuilder. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmother.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. That's why I think it's amazing. And now, you know what also, guys? Sometimes we spend money for things that really they go away, you know. You go, as I say, you go to Starbucks, and I don't want to just pick on Starbucks. By the way, I hate them because they are kind of part of the problem. But regardless, you know, you sit down, and in a few seconds, $20 are gone, and you have nothing. With $20, you can get something that, you know, you can share with your family, and you can really start to even see. You know, we are so used to live in America, and we never understand maybe like just next door in other part of the world, people are maybe less fortunate. They live a different life. And maybe they're not even less fortunate because maybe they have the beautiful advantage to live a life that we forgot, close to the nature. But still, it's a tough life. It's a rough life. I mean, there are some parts of the book that, you know, you are dead. You came back from death, right?
That's right.
And also,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, and also your family member. I mean, I heard, you know, remember the story about your dad. I mean, you go out hunting for food. It's not like when you go into Safeway to get some food. You know, every time you try to find food in the jungle, it's like almost you don't know if you're going to come back home.
Well, yeah, because you can get eaten by anything, or you can get killed by anything. I mean, in the jungle, you are either the hunter or the prey.
Exactly.
So you might as well be the hunter. So
listen, so let's give it one more time because I want to go straight now to the rifle. Give it one more time the name of the book, please.
The name of the book is The Little Amazonian by Miroslava-Espinoza, and it's on Amazon.com.
Okay, you have also a website, please. Give it out.
My website is www.thelittleamazonian.com.
Perfect. Now, straight to the rifle. I know that not only you are Protandem Independence Distributor, you also have your beautiful book out, but you also, I don't know how that happened, but you got also a signature rifle with your name. Give us the short story. We got 3 minutes. Go ahead. I let you speak. I don't say anything.
Okay. We have I have just my signature rifles is out. It's been created by tacticalarmsoftexas.com, and they're located in Texas. But they decided to work with me and create my signature rifles, and they're inspired by the colors that I choose was because the poison dart frogs from my homeland Panama. They're commonly found over there, and we use them to kill animals, for hunt. We used to put them on the arrows, to go hunting. And so that's why it's the inspiration that I got them. That's why this so weird and unique colors that I got people telling me, what is those colors? Why those colors? And I'm like, okay, those are poison dart frogs colors. And there's more to come. And I might get another line of rifles. It's going to be a pistol rifle.
Wow.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Depends how this one's doing. So there's 4 right now. There's 4. There's a red and black, and there is a teal, and there is a black, and there is yellow and black. They're beautiful. I mean, I might be biased, but you guys have to check it out. Go to www.tacticalarmsoftexas.com, Miroslava Signature Customs Weapons.
Wow, I tell you something, and I seen yours that you had when you brought to the meetings for the Protandi meeting. I had the pleasure to see the real rifle. And, normally I am not really an AR-15 person. I mean, I got my AR-15s and I like them, but, it's not my first rifle. That was really unique. It was, let's say, high-end stuff, okay? The quality was amazing. And from everything, from, for example, the handguard. I mean, you got an incredible front sight and rear sight, diamond shape. I mean, it was really good stuff.
It's very light. So it's for home defense. It's very light. It's like around 7 pounds, no more than 7 pounds.
Yeah.
With a 30 magazines, 3 bullet magazines. And it's, what can I say? It's my creation.
No, it's great. And I tell you, and I like it. It's light, but it also is very solid. I mean, the handguard, it is not made of plastic, okay? It's real material, it's real steel. It's, I tell you, I really like it a lot. Now, listen, I want to dedicate a song to you in your honor. It is not just about surviving, it's also about thriving. And that's what we're trying to do here. We want to fight back tyranny, and we want to fight back the adversity of lives. We want to not just survive, we want to thrive. And the song I wrote a few years ago is called Thrive. I dedicate it to you and to every listeners out there. We want to stand up for freedom and fight back and be independent, economically independent, and be healthy and be better person. So don't forget to go to mirowellness.com, try it out Protandem, and this is the song. Miro, 30 seconds, whatever you want to say before I give you the song.
Thank you so much, Gianluca, for this second opportunity to be on your show. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you. And guys, God bless you. I will listen to you. I will talk to you next Sunday. This is the call Thrive by Luca Zanna. Wake up.
Envision your decision. 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 Envision your
decision. Engage. Resist. Persist. Learn. Share.